Good morning. Welcome to my teaching learning session. We are going to continue with BGLA 136 English at Workplace. So, we are on block 1, which is exploring the job market, and we are going to cover Unit 3 today. We have already talked at length about Unit 1 and Unit 2 because those were important units, and also the uh, initiation part into this block. So it covered very important sections. Now we are going to talk about Unit 3, which is responding to job advertisements. And this again is a very crucial part of your journey to take up jobs, to apply for jobs, because this is a completely new field. Once you are in the education mode, you have been in the education mode, so you are aware of the protocols required there. But as graduation students, this is the first time that you might be applying for a job if you have not had any internship or any other experience prior to this. So once we have gone through that process of searching for the right job that we have covered in the previous lectures. So now in this session we are going to talk about how do you respond to job advertisements. We took a brief overview last time. Now we are going to talk about this in detail. So first important thing is that you need to see who put in the advertisement. What is the person or organization looking for? So let's talk about the first 2 points. Okay. So who put in the advertisement? Now, like I said in previous sessions as well, and it's something that you also need to understand. You all need to understand this, that while we are going to, it is our responsibility to prove ourselves as an asset to the organization that we are applying to. It also becomes important for us to see whether the organization is an asset to us as well. So let's say if there is a certain scenario, like there are factors that we discussed of things that we need to look for while applying for a job, and we are going to talk about certain other things that you can, these information you can gather through the advertisement itself, right? So how do you look into that? Now, since we are also looking at how the organization is beneficial to us. So this is not about being stepping ahead. Maybe you're just a fresher. Maybe this is the first time that you're applying for a job, but that doesn't mean that it has taken away the right for you, the right from you to be discreet, to practice the element of choice. Okay. It is also, it's not like just because you're starting or you do not have any prior experience, you're going to take up anything that comes your way. Okay, so a very important thing is to evaluate your own merits to see where do you stand, and also if you are going to apply at a place which is not going to harness the skills that you have, that because see every individual has certain specific qualities that are very very specific to their particular characteristics. There might be 50 different people in the same classroom, and they might be studying the same course, but each one will have their own respective plus points, their own strengths and weaknesses. So you need to see that this place, is it going to benefit from me, and am I going to benefit from this place, because these are very nascent stages of your career. So you do not want to end up at a place which is all about extracting what you already know and is not adding to your growth. So a very important thing in the initial stages is to look at if that organization is going to add to your experience, is going to bring out the best out of you, is going to offer you different challenging opportunities and such scenarios, such tasks which will motivate you to try to challenge yourself, to try different aspects of that particular field that you're working in. So this is all about developing your merits, developing, and also sometimes there are things that you get to know while you have started working, things that you do not know during your theoretical phase or during your education phase while you were just learning most of the things in theory. Of course, there are practical exercises involved, but now that you have to put all those things that you have learned out in practice, there are things that you're going to discover about yourself, things that you probably never knew about yourself, that these are your, for example, somebody could be very good at crisis management, but you were not entrusted with such responsibilities earlier, right? So that's one thing that anybody who is just starting out needs to be very, very clear about, that it's a mutual deal that is being struck here. So look at the you and the first impression, because there are things that you can only know after you have started working, after you have become a part of that organization. So there is, it's not entirely in your control while you are searching for you. So you're going to give your best shot, you're going to try to grab the best opportunity, you are going to give it a lot of thought, but it's not like you are going to control all aspects of it. Once you started working, then you know that, okay, these are the challenges, this might not be working out for me. So you should always be flexible in your thought process, flexible in your approach. You might go with a certain expectation from yourself as well as from the organization, from the people around. And it might not turn out to be the same, it might turn out to be better. So, in either of the scenarios, you need to be very adaptive. Adaptability will help in the long run, because then you know that you need to sit around, what is it that is working for me? I mean, what is it that's not working out for me? That's all right, how can I make it better? But what is there that's working out for me? So you look at those opportunities and you try to focus on that. So no matter how your environment is, or what kind of new situation you are put into. It is all about flexibility and adaptability on how you, and this is a very, very important trait in the initial phases of the career, because more flexible you are, the more scope is there to learn from others and also to make yourself resilient. Okay, this is a great opportunity to start practicing resilience. So now coming to the things that you have to look at, that you know that this organization might be the best fit for you. What are the things that you're going to look at? So first, who put in the advertisement? So look at the organization. We talked about, we discussed a lot of data and graphs and how to create the how to create our own research material, our own graphs and our own flow charts to make it the pictorial representations, which will make it easier for us to categorize, to, because see, if you're going to look at 200 jobs, if the market is being very kind, so if you're going to look at 200 jobs, you cannot just look at everything and remember everything or compare everything. So you need to have a certain system to put that all information in a space, organize them in a way that you are able to compare and retrieve it better. And for that, we talked about if you remember, the graphs and the flow charts that was there in the slides last time. So those are the ways in which you can organize your information and make better choices by doing a comparative analysis, right? So, who put in the advertisement? Look at the background. Of course, when you're pursuing the research on that particular aspect, so you create various traits which are working for you, which are not working for you. So, there you also compare the organizations which are there. Okay. So, what has been their revenue, what is their net worth, you compare all those things. Okay, so who put in the advertisement, that is first. Second is, what is that person or organization looking for, right? So now, first is for yourself to see if it is an organization that you would choose to work with. Okay, if it is an organization that is going to benefit you. Now, then you look at it from the employer's perspective. Um, what are they looking for? Okay, what is that person or organization looking for? What are their requirements? Then, what are the skills required for the job? Okay, so again, the industry that you're applying for, when you go through it, when you have a thorough research, then you will know that what is it that they probably lack at this point in time, and what is their pain point that they are trying to work on. And obviously, they are not going to do it alone. They need people who are good at those things. So if you have done a good research on the company's profile, on their strengths and weaknesses, you will know exactly what they're looking for. Now, it is for you to introspect if you have something to add to that organization, or it might be wastage of time for you as well as for them. So, if you think that those are the points where you are good and you can add to the organization, then go ahead and apply for it and pitch those points while you are in the interview or while you are writing your application or a letter or a call that you are making to convince them of your candidature, of your suitability for the candidature. Then you need to uh, let them know that, see, these are the points, and don't make it so obvious that you that the company lacks this, so I'm going to make it change its face. No, it has to come in a very subtle manner without making it very obvious. Okay. Now, if you were interested in the job mentioned, next one is, if you were interested in the job mentioned, what would you want to know? So there are queries. You also need to take a notebook before you're going to, and probably prepare a notebook while you're going for this job hunt. It is always a good idea to keep a thick register, maybe, or a spiral notebook or a diary, where you make all these charts and do this comparative analysis, because it is highly possible that not only today, you will probably need it again. I mean, let's say if you're looking at switching the job after a certain experience, you would want to go back to that data. You cannot do so much of research every time. Like, while you were in the academic phase, you might just take out 1 week. Maybe while you're working, you get only one holiday or one weekend. And it might not be possible to do so much of research again. So keep this data saved. Okay. If it is good if you, because see, figures will keep changing, right? Numbers will keep changing. So it is always a good idea to update that knowledge that you have. But more or less, it is not going to, let's say, if you're applying after 6 months or 1 year, it might not be that different. The picture might not be, usually, it will not be very different. So you need to keep all that. And also, even if it changes drastically, you would know that, okay, this was how it was performing, all these companies were performing that time, and this is how they're performing now. So just prepare a register where, so you have everything all together. You can do it through papers and keep it in a file, but it becomes a little difficult to manage all those papers. Keeping it in one place is always better. But yeah, you can also use the files and have those sheets where you have all these graphs and everything. Let's say if you're working on your computer preparing all those facts and figures, then you might want to keep the printouts there. Or if you're going to keep the soft copy, that's also right. But sometimes it just helps to have the hard copies, and you can carry it along anywhere. And for comparative analysis, sometimes having it all on papers can be easier for some people. I mean, of course, it depends person to person. But yeah. So you could do that, and then you start writing down, like if you appear for any interview, when you come back, when you take any exam and then you come back, you feel like, okay, I could have written this answer like that, or I could have probably attempted this. Okay, this was the answer, how could I not remember it at that time? So when you come back from any exam or any interview, there are so many thoughts in your mind, while you're returning back, or in the evening or at night, or even for a couple of days. It is always a good idea to note down those points in there, because after 2 days you might not remember it. So don't procrastinate. The very day, once you're out of the interview room, and if you feel it did not go well, Write it down. Also, write down the questions that you were asked, because it is highly possible that similar questions would be asked from you next time. And if you have prepared it already, then you definitely appear better prepared. I mean, answering impromptu and having practiced it, that makes difference. Okay, you have more enriched answers. Okay, so that is something. That's the second thing that you could do, right, in that particular notebook. So you write down the questions. You write down the things that you thought you could have done better. You write down the things that you did well, things that were positively received by the panel, and things that you thought could have been better, and things that you need to find out, things that you do not know. So you have to write down the things that you have to write down those points that, okay, I need to work on this, I need to read on this, I need to research on this. My this certain area I do not have much information, so I need to work on that. All right. So that's another thing that you could probably note down there. And then this point, that if you're interested in the job mentioned, let's say if you went for a particular job and then you discovered something about them in the interview panel, then you note it down. Okay. Because next time if you have to apply at the same place, you would know that, okay, this was what did not work for me. Because so much new information is going to come in your head, you will not remember everything. It's always a very good idea. You have a one place, keeping all the information at one place where you can go back to, and it might act as a lot of support. I mean, this sounds like a lot of work, but it is not exactly. It is just about retaining all that you are learning, collecting all the experience that you are getting, you are gaining while this job hunting process. And it is very good that you are being trained to take this particular exercise so systematically in the initial phases itself, because sometimes people go all haywire, they have gone to multiple places and they learn after going through a lot of or facing a lot of challenges in life, and then after 4 or 5 years they get to learn all these things, that okay, maybe I should have done this, and then they start following. It's good that even before you start out, if you're getting all this information and on this training, I think it's important, it's pertinent that you make use of it. Okay, and write down what, if you were interested in the job mentioned, what did you like about the company on papers, with what you gathered through internet or through your research, and what were the things that you realized after you went for the interview for that particular organization, or what things you got to know. So just make a checkbox. These are the things that you like, these are the things that do not work for you. So again, let's say 2 years later, you need to see what was the problem. I had gone to this interview and it did not work for me. So what were the things that you noticed? So you have it out there. Now, what is the job sector? Of course, that is very important. Sometimes, when people are applying for internship, let's say if there is a requirement in their bachelor's or in their master's, sometimes people tend to apply for jobs like graphic designer. Sorry, for internship like graphic designer or video editor. Now the thing is that how are these things contributing to the field that you are applying for? So even for like internship, people are doing this for the sake of the certificate to fulfill a certain academic criteria. But the thing is that 1 month, 2 months, this time means something, especially if you are not a child. Then this time as a professional means something. So you should always apply for internships. Maybe start searching for them a year before. Do whatever it takes, but try to go for the internships which actually add to your training. Because internships are what? Internships are not jobs. Internships are not your um, academic checklist. Internship is a training which is being provided to you. It's a sort of induction before you enter the real job market. So take your internship seriously. Apply for, do your research for internships as well, and be very persistent, because there I think money should not be the criteria. The idea is to gain that experience, that when you enter your job, you are able to, when you start working full time and full time and in a job, not an internship, you are already prepared. Okay, so internships are that preparatory stage where you understand the protocols of a professional place because you have never worked. So sometimes people, students, lose the sight, okay, of what internships are for. So don't do that. Okay. Okay. So look at the job sector carefully and try to get internships there. Try to apply for jobs there because if you're going to spend 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 year, you do not want it to be something that is not really, adding to your learnings, especially at this stage. So most important aspects in a job advertisement. So we're going to look at that. Uh, when you are looking at an advertisement, these are the features that you would find commonly. First is the location. So let's look at the things that the advertisement should offer and also the things that you should notice, right? And how you have to see your uh, feasibility uh, of how these information they help you and how feasible is it for you to apply for this internship or job. So most important aspects in a job advertisement is first is location. Second is date list. Is location as in you need to see if you are going to be if it is an offline system, if you have to travel, then is commuting really feasible for you? You do not want to commute to a place where it is going to take you 2 3 hours just because it is a good opportunity. But you cannot be tired. Let's say if you're working in a 8 hour shift, you cannot have 4 hours more of or 5 hours more of traveling because that is going to take away most of your day. You're going to be exhausted, you're going to be fatigued, and then you'll not be able to perform because it is taking away your recreational time, your rejuvenation time, your rest time. Okay? So you need proper sleep to be able to function properly. So location becomes important. Then second is date listed. Okay, so these are the things that sometimes when you get a good opportunity, you become pretty excited about, and you lose, like I said, you lose the sight of how it is going to um, turn out in real senses in real world. So one possibility is that you take if it's a really good opportunity and you really want to work with the distance is too much, then maybe you can take a place nearby. But again, then you need to look at the financial aspect. I mean, if you're earning a certain amount and more than half of it is going in the rent and all those things, then it's not really earning for you. It might be learning for you, but not earning. Okay, so location is there. Then second is date listed. Although I do feel that in the initial stages, learning is very very important and it should always take precedence over over earning until unless making money is important and is a at that point, in the initial stages, you feel that it is a requirement. I mean, it is only if you have some financial challenges right now, then obviously the income part becomes important. But otherwise, in my opinion, at least, learning should take precedence in the initial few years. So if you're getting that opportunity somewhere better, I think that should be important for you. But if you have some financial challenges, then don't compromise on your earning part. Okay. So second is date listed. I mean, just look at that you're not checking out an advertisement where you're very enthusiastically prepared for it, and later on it turns out that you don't. I mean, the date for it has you have crossed the deadline already, and then you're working on that very enthusiastically and sincerely. Okay, so now then third is age limit. Okay, so you need to see that you fulfill the criteria of the minimum and maximum age limit for that particular thing. Now fourth is essential qualification, which of course there are essential. I mean, if you look at it, essential qualification, there will be a certain column for desirable qualification. So what are essential qualification? Let's say the minimum, so the degree that you need, or let's say I mean, of course, there are degrees which are the minimum eligibility criteria, whether it is in terms of age or whether it is in terms of qualification, that needs to be fulfilled. Otherwise, your candidature will be cancelled or your application will not be considered itself. And then there are desirable qualifications. For example, they need certain computer knowledge from you. So which is additional feature, okay, certain courses. So there you can mention all the courses that you have done. If they're looking for that, and even if not, I'm sure you mentioned in your resume that there might be certain desirable qualification that they are looking for in candidates, which will put those candidates that will give those candidates an upper edge. So let's say everybody is fulfilling the essential qualifications, but what is it that is going to give somebody an upper edge is through the desirable qualification and of course their performance in the interview, their knowledge base. I mean, so many people do the same course, but some people are very involved in it, very knowledgeable about a particular field, which comes out of their natural passion for learning things. Okay, so those are essential and desirable qualification. Then you have to look at the selection process. So some places, they will just take your resume and they will directly call you for the interview. Some places there are just walk-in interviews, and at some places after your resume is selected, shortlisted, then you also have a questionnaire that they'll provide to you. The questionnaire gives them a bird eye view into your entire personality. And of course, like talked to you about the psychometric test. So you could, they might have questions based or derived out from there. Okay, and they're trying to select the best candidates. They're also trying to look into your psychology, your aptitude, and for that there might be questions which are um, little different in nature from the regular questions that you answer. So you need to understand, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the employer to understand where is that person coming from. Now, next is how to apply. So you look at the selection process. Okay, there might be new things that you have not really thought about, and you need to be those might be new. Let's say there is group discussion. At some places there might not be any group discussions, and there are places where there is group discussion. So let's say you're good at interviews, you're good at answering questions, but if you are not able to put yourself out there in group discussion, so you need to start practicing on that. Take few of your friends and who are preparing for similar activities and organize like keep a day in the week where you all meet and you all discuss or even on Zoom or any online meeting. Okay, now how to apply, look at the right way. I mean, if they are asking you to upload your resume on their website, do not email it to them. Okay, if they're asking you to email it, do not go and just hand it over to somebody. You have to look at how they are expecting your applications to arrive. Okay, so look at the entire process on how to apply, where to apply. Last date of receipt of application, that's very important. Sometimes you've looked at the date on which the advertisement has been published, but that doesn't ensure, like if some people have 1 month deadline, it's not necessary that every place will do that. Some jobs might have just 1 week deadline to apply for it, or maybe less than that. So you need to look at the last date of receipt of application. Also, some advertisements, I mean, it depends also, it depends on the platform that you're looking at. So, some advertisements will have an advertisement ID, and you need to note it down in case you need to get a reference to it sometimes. Okay, because the same case might have given many advertisements, so you need to know exactly which advertisement you are talking about or are you applying for. So it is just a safe thing to do. And then of course the contact details. So whatever medium are they allowing the candidates to contact them through, whether it is through their helpline number, through their reception, or through a certain person who can be contacted by the HR, or just a plain email ID. So whatever is their preferred mode of communication, you need to note that down. Okay. Now, responding to job advertisements. So, like we know that a career is a course of successor situations that make up some activity. But what does it refer to today? It refers primarily to bread earning activity, right? So it is very interesting that one third of the vacancies for graduates are not advertised. It has been estimated that almost one third of the vacancies for graduates are not advertised publicly, particularly in a competitive job market. Most employers actually expect applicants to take the initiative as it can be cost effective as well as better pool of self motivated candidates. Small number of well being. So, why is this important? Why am I revising this aspect, this particular aspect with you? Is because you need to understand the psychology of the employers. So, if the candidate has not taken, if they expect that they should be spoon fed, like somebody should come at their houses and offer them the job, that is not the kind of candidate that they are looking for. They want to see that hunger in you, that thirst in you to, that passion that you really, really want that job and you're really going to perform. Because if you're not passionate about applying for it, about entering the place, usually what happens, people are very enthusiastic while applying and they will give their best in the first month. But after a month or so, their enthusiasm starts falling, the monotony takes over, they have lost that zeal, and that could be disheartening for the candidate as well as for the employer, because there was a lot of energy involved in this entire process, and then a certain monotony creeps in. So one needs to show that they are going to be consistent, and that consistency has to come with the first impression that you are persistently following the job, you are proactive, you are not somebody who needs to be pushed to do things, and that you are quite active in making things happen, and not because somebody else is telling you, not because your teachers or your parents or your friends are telling you, because you want it, because you are self motivated. So employers are usually looking for self motivated candidates. That is a very important factor for them, because nobody can motivate you on a daily basis. So one is looking for such employees, that those who are ready to give their best and are ready to motivate themselves, inspire themselves. They do not need it from external factors all the time. So, a small number of well targeted applications are most likely to produce results than mass mailing. So, while you are being active throughout while you are applying, and persistent and consistent and passionate about it, you also need to maintain that passion level and consistency while you have become a part of the organization, and not lose it in 2 3 months, or maybe over a period of years. You see how you can make it enriching for yourself, interesting for yourself, and for those around you. All right, so that was important. Now, what are the things that we are going to look at today, and what we have looked at already, and what we are going to focus on? First is to learn and practice the structures around advertising and responding to ads. So we have covered a major portion of that already, and understand the language of an advertisement. Okay, so we are going to talk about that. Also, I have given you the tools to understand the psychology of the employer or of the organization or the company that is going to hire you, or in general, the hiring mentality. So, goal third is develop vocabulary related to jobs. So, in your block, in your study material, you'll find that many exercises give you a lot of frequently used vocabulary in the job scenario. And also in the previous classes, we spoken about jargons. How can you increase your familiarity with the words specific to that industry. So that is there. And using polite language to make inquiries. So what do I mean by polite language? I mean, it's not something that is new to you, right? You know that um, while you are going to, when you're seeking job, you're seeking an opportunity for yourself. So arrogance or lack of politeness is not really going to help you on there. So if you're a straightforward person, if you are a direct person, that is good to a certain extent. I mean, if you're being honest. But there is a difference between honesty and rudeness. There is a very thin line, and you need to be careful about that. Um, so even if you're, let's say, if you're just you are just making inquiries, you're not speaking to the people who are going to hire you, to the panel of interview, to the HR. Even if you're talking, calling at the reception, make it a point that you give a good impression there. Make it a point that you uh, sound humble, and you sound respectful. More than humble, you sound respectful. Okay. So last is again the vocabulary associated with jobs. The difference between Goal 3 and Goal 5 is that you are working on developing vocabulary related to jobs. So what you're doing is that you're doing your research, you're studying on the vocabulary, which is we talked about the jargons again. So you learn the jargons. I mean, it might be jargons outside, but when you're in that industry, you're expected to know those. Okay, nobody's going to explain every term to you. But what Goal 5 is all about, it expects you to understand the vocabulary. So it's not just about that specific industry or the terms or the jargons associated with that industry. You need to understand the vocabulary associated with jobs in general. So that primarily what is intended here is the vocabulary that is used in job advertisements. Okay, so when you are doing your research, you need to know what are the, like we talked about, certain aspects, most important aspects in a job advertisement. So you need to understand for example, advertisement ID. So what is advertisement ID? So terms like these. Okay. Now, responding to job advertisements. So of course, we talked about who put in the job advertisement, what is the person or organization looking for, what skills are required. These are the things that you've already looked at. Now, what is the best time to respond to job ads? If you saw a job in a weekend paper, you should respond on Monday. It is ideally you should respond on Monday. If you've seen it in a weekend paper, don't mail your CV since it will only arrive later in the week. Emails only get read around Tuesday or Wednesday, so you need to be at their offices on Monday before the rest of the applicants respond. If the ad doesn't say no calls, then you can make a phone call to inquire. But if it states that calls are not welcome, you should pay them a personal visit. Most employers urgently looking for replacements will be too happy not to deal with thousands of applicants, and that is why you should help them out by responding on Monday. So you see, this particular section in your blog is trying to explain to you why and how can you look at the requirements of the employees from employer's perspective. So this is just an example. Okay? There are other things that you can learn through your research, and these things you get to know only when you find out how things work. So a better understanding will come to you when you've gone through your first job. Then you'll understand how the hirings and firings take place. Being friends with an HR might also help you if you have friends who are HR. And you can talk to them how it works and where are they coming from. So that's there. And you need not call for an interview meeting, just arrive at their offices with your CV and well prepared for an interview. So, but then that is not applicable in all situations. Please see, you do not take your resume and barge in anywhere that they are not that I'm here for the interview. They are not ready for the interview. Maybe they have a certain system of conducting the interviews and selecting or hiring. Some companies or people looking for immediate replacement might be okay with that. So you need to use your own sensibility and discretion in these matters. Okay. All right. So data at a glance, there is normally a bit of information about the company in the job ads, and that gives you an idea of what companies are looking for, what they expect, in some cases, what are they willing to pay. So these are the important things for you, right? The aspects that we discussed in the beginning of this session. So if you look at those factors, things that they are mentioning, location, sometimes they mention the payment already in the advertisement itself, because that's a very important thing for anybody who's applying for the job. We cannot ignore the financial aspect. Okay? If you're going to apply for a job, you're definitely looking for monetary, benefits that you have, financial security that you have in that particular job. So if it is not mentioned in the advertisement, then you might inquire about it. There could be a negotiation part. So they might not mention it there, but when you have been in previous jobs, they will ask you what is your salary expectation, and this is a question that people who are new to the jobs application of jobs thing, they are not really mentally prepared for this. So sometimes even some sort of hesitation comes in between. So what you need to prepare, you need to keep it very clear that you are there to earn money. You are there to earn your livelihood. What is career? We talked about it. Career in the modern context is the way you make your bread and butter. I mean, if you were not supposed to make money through your job, then you would rather rather do what you love doing and sit at your home and do it, right? So if you're going out there and you're applying and everything, so you're looking for a job. You're looking for a job because it's how you want to earn your livelihood, and of course, the financial expectations could differ. For some people, it could be comfort over money. For some people, it could be money over comfort. Whatever might it be, but then earning, making money, getting your remuneration is a very important aspect for it. So do not be hesitant about it. Do not hold yourself. Do not feel like do not think that you're being greedy. I mean, of course, you're supposed to make a reasonable demand, but that's also your right. If you're going to work somewhere, asking for money or putting your expectations before them is rightfully your responsibility as well, to let them know that this is what you're expecting. Because let's say they have offered something from their side and you're not happy with it and you do not communicate it. So can you say communication becomes very important? How you communicate it is important. What you're communicating, I mean, if you're going to tell them that okay, I'm not happy with this payment and this is what I want, you're going to negotiate with them, but also understand that that's something which is you're right. So, but you are not going to put it across as a demand. Okay, you have to put it across as something that you are expecting in a polite manner. All right. So, okay. So let's look at step one. Select vehicle, advertising vehicle. That's obviously the first step. Okay, we're just going to organize everything that we have learned until now. So you select the advertising vehicle, subscribe to concerned newspapers or magazines, make a list of internet sites for classified job. So we have been talking about the way we are going to, compile this data, talk to them, how to approach them, how to communicate. So now just revising all of that and understanding how we are putting data together. First, you need to step one is to select the advertising because where are you going to look at? So do some research on that. In order to conduct your research on jobs, you need to research on what platform should you be choosing for your research. Okay, so select your advertising vehicle. Subscribe to the concerned newspapers or magazines which have the best reviews or the best results. Make a list of internet sites for classified jobs. So of course that's about newspaper and magazines, like we were talking in the previous section about the weekend newspaper, okay, and how you should be applying for that, which days are suitable for what. So similarly, make your own observations and calculations on whatever platforms or whatever vehicles you choose for selecting your advertisements, because you do not want to waste your time on looking at jobs which make no sense to you. You know, for example, when you order something and there are these discount coupons that you have on internet, and then you go and waste a lot of time selecting, applying them only to find out that they don't work. So it is a fruitless activity, and you wasted a lot of time on anything, and then you go back and pay the same amount. So similarly, you do not need to increase your already you have a lot of work, so you do not need to increase your your responsibility or your waste your time by looking at platforms which are probably not recognized, um, do not have any legitimate credentials to it. Right. So look at the platforms which are already, and a very good thing, a good way to do that is talk to your seniors, talk to people who have been there in that field for 4 5 years, maybe to your cousins, or people. Then look out for people who are probably going to misguide you or giving half-baked information. So you take the information from them and then go on the internet and verify the information, and then choose the right platforms. Also, you could always go to a career counselor, which is always the safest option because they are probably not going to misguide you. Look at the free resources if you cannot afford career counseling sessions. There are so many free resources which are available. Talk to your teachers; they'll guide you. Okay. Now, step two is the scanning process. First, you select the advertising vehicle, then you look at the scanning process. Scan the ads that experience and higher qualification are needed. So, last time we looked at these points with a different perspective. Okay. Today, we are going to look at them with a different perspective. Okay. So, the ads which need higher qualification. So, sometimes, what do we mean by higher qualification? Let's say the requirement is BCom, okay, or let's say BA. You are not going to do a PhD and wait for next 6 7 years to apply for that job. You What is understood by higher qualification? Qualifications could differ from organization to organization. So you have to look at the most important things, that the common things that the companies are looking for. They might be in the desirable section, desirable qualification section, but that is adding to. I mean, a company might not care about your PhD, but they will definitely care about those skills that you have. Okay. So more than the theoretical knowledge, what practical tools do you have in your armor that they need, and you will be of use, and you will be of help to them. All right. Now, step three is make a list of all relevant hiring companies and positions advertised. So this we have already talked about. In fact, today we talked about how we can do it on a probably on the system, or preferably in a thick register. How can we create all this information? Um, because it is always easier, it is always easier to have your facts and figures right there before you. Okay, so responding to job advertisements, what happens? One gets to know a bit about the company and what it is willing to pay for the job, the qualification they are looking for the candidate for a specific job. You also get to know the names of the recruiting officers. So we have probably touched this slightly in the previous sessions. What happens that developing, if you remember, we talked about networking. So networking would be very, very important. And when you get to know, when you address people with their name, and when you seem to know about them, they feel important. They feel that you are interested in them. They feel like you are sincere about what you want, and you're focused on that. So you need to know the names of the recruiting officers. Let's say even if you don't join the job this time, but if you are able to strike a chord with them, they might refer you somewhere else, right? And second is one can find these advertisements in newspapers, magazines, and internet sites. That also we have covered. Third is a newspaper is an advertising vehicle because it carries a lot of different kinds of advertisements, and it is still the most popular place to look for advertisements. So although a lot of sites have cropped up, A lot of places are there, but still people prefer to choose new employment section in newspapers and everywhere because probably because there is a sort of familiarity as well as trust involved. Okay, so until unless there are sites which are really really popular and um, really here since a long time, people tend to stick to newspapers because they feel that these are verified information. Okay, so and also there is a lot of variety there. Okay, so since one is a fresher, one must apply for the entry level jobs. One can apply for the higher level jobs once one has obtained experience. So, like I said, that in nascent stages, the focus should be on learning. But that doesn't mean that if you feel that you're suitable for that job or you already know you have all the skills which are required for the higher position, you will still go to the entry level because somebody told you somewhere. Don't do that. And but yeah, also don't overestimate your abilities and apply for something that you'll not be able to handle, causing yourself and the organization harm. Okay. So we need to mark these jobs to identify the companies and organizations that employ at entry level. They may have jobs suiting one at a later stage, so one can keep them handy. So yeah, this is important. Okay, while you're creating your research data, you're collecting them in wherever, whatever medium you want to collect it to. You are talking about the jobs availability. You can also look because you're applying for entry level jobs, probably. Then you can also look at the next step. It's always good to have a vision for the future. Don't lose sight of your past as well as for your future. Okay, so remember what you learned from your past, and utilize that for your future opportunities. So if you want to look at certain higher level jobs while you're writing it down for whatever level you're applying at, you can also look at the next level and note that down also because that will give you your roadmap, right? How you need to, what should be the next now, and again, what armaments do you need to have in your armor? So that would prepare you for the next step. Now, these jobs give a good picture of who the manager will be or the name of the recruiting officer and the job responsibilities one can expect. So it makes you familiar. Like, we were looking at all the things which are included in the advertisements, and you saw that it was very, very, it was very detailed in the sense that even if the length is short, but it includes everything which is important for the candidate or the candidate needs to know or to be interested in that particular profile or the information that will help him or her make the decision. Okay, so last point is the best thing to do is to pay them a visit personally. This means they do not welcome calls and telephonic inquiries. Of course, one needs to carry one's resume and the relevant papers in case they decide to interview immediately. So you have to prepare, even if you're making a personal visit and they're not into doing the interviews on the spot. You can always carry the required documents because you never know what they might ask. Like if somebody gets interested, even if that is not in their usual system, but if they get interested, they might want to talk to you then. Okay, so solution or strategy. If you decide to take this creative approach to your job search, remember that through research is vital to success. You'll need to look beyond the ordinary ways. So we have spoken about how to research in the last session, in the previous session. Today we have spoken about how to approach them, how to respond to them. And an important thing is you need to look beyond the recruitment sections of the local and national press to general news business section that we have spoken about. And we should research thoroughly what is the focus of individual companies. Build a network of contacts, keep a record of your network, and follow from time to time for job as personal contacts help immensely. So I'm revising what we have covered until now. Telephone before you call so that your application does not arrive cold or at wrong person's desk. Okay. Now, points to note in the grammar section. So this we had covered last time, and this I have revised with you. Today, I have done a revision for what we have covered today on the new aspects that we covered today. This is from the last session, and it is important. So look at this again for your research part. And now, when you are applying, what is important to look at. So, in first of all, you have to look at your grammar because, of course, if you are responding through email or any written mode, you would not want to write wrong. So, what are the important things? First, practice WH question: who, what, when, where. Okay, what are WH questions? Who, what, when, where. So, how do you make queries? And there are a lot of exercises in your, book, in your study material, which will guide you with the terms, with the vocabulary, which is important for practicing or for understanding. We talked about one point in our goals is to develop a vocabulary around jobs. So, how do we make inquiries? All this you'll find in your study material if you look at it carefully, or if you look at certain videos or certain sample interview um, interview scripts available on the internet. That will also give you an idea. This is for the beginning stage. After you have started taking interviews, then obviously you'll become familiar with the things which go around and the kind of questions, and especially because you're making your own research material, right? So there you're writing down the questions that are being asked. So gradually you become very competent with addressing such questions. Okay, and of course, that thing about having a group discussion session or a mock interview session with your friends who are applying for the same jobs. Because, see, you are not competing with these three, four people. You're competing with yourself. Okay, so if you're good, you're going to make it here or there. And in the interviews, it's not only three, four friends of yours who are going to appear. There is such a, there's so many other people who are applying for it. So in a way, you're competing with the entire country or the world or the candidates of the country or the world who are applying. So you don't know who you're competing with, and that should not be a challenge. I mean, if you're good, then there will be a place for everyone here or there or somewhere. Right? So do not hesitate from practicing your skills and learning from each other. Mutually uh, Mutual growth should be the goal. Collect or associate with people of similar mindset, and then you could create how you could help each other out, and that is the way to go about it. Now, so there, that's their practice WH questions. Reverse the word order of the subject and verb in a sentence. So there are exercises, and there are when you go through the blog, you'll see that how can you um, if there is a sentence, how do you move and this is the task for you. I have given a few tasks in the last session. I hope you have done that. And the task for you in this session is that you need to reverse the word order of the subject and verb in a sentence. Okay, and then you formulate new sentences, formulate new questions with the same sentence. And how do you use do, does, or did in front of the questions? So sometimes people go ahead. You might have heard it a lot of times. He didn't slept. Okay, so these are and that's wrong. So you need to understand the sentence structure. That why we are not using, or if you do not want to go into the why, at least know that we are not using, the past form of the verb with did or didn't, right? When to use. So that is the thing that you need to understand. When to use do, does, or did. This is a common mistake that people commit, and even very educated ones. They tend to commit this mistake very frequently. So be aware of that. Okay, so understanding language structures required for asking and answering questions related to workplace. So, so how are we constructing the questions? How are we constructing the answers? So the syntax becomes important here. Points to note for the analysis. So this was the grammar part. Now the analysis part. Aim to track down the most relevant person and write their job title. Spell their name and designation correctly. Okay. The tone and style of your letter should be convincing to the employer that you are highly committed and enthusiastic about the job you are applying for. And last point is, if you want to discuss creative job hunting or receive feedback about your CV and cover letter, feel free to speak to a career advisor or use an e-guidance service. So there is a certain exercise in your study material where they have given you a sample letter on how to respond to a job advertisement. All right. So that's all for today. Thank you.
ఒక కొత్తగా వచ్చిన రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతం గురించి నేర్చుకుంటున్నాము. అదే పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం, పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ పొలిటికల్ థియరీ, పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ పొలిటికల్ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్. అయితే దీన్ని తెలుగులో కొంచెము తర్జుమా చేయాలంటే కొంచెం కష్టంగా ఉంటుంది, కానీ అంత కష్టమేం కాదు. ఉదాహరణకి పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం అంటే తర్వాత వచ్చింది అన్నమాట. ఈ మోడర్నిజం అంటే ఏంటి? మోడర్నిటీ అంటే ఏంటి? మోడర్నిటీ అంటే ఆధునికత. మోడర్నిటీ అంటే ఆధునికత, మోడర్నిజం అంటే ఆధునికవాదం. సో పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం అంటే ఆధునిక అనంతర రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతం అని అనొచ్చు. అయితే కొందరికి, అంటే మీకు కొంచెము బిఏ కాబట్టి ఇంటర్మీడియట్ నుంచి రకరకాల విద్యార్థులు ఈ రాజనీతి సంబంధించిన కోర్సుని ఎన్నుకున్నారు కాబట్టి వాళ్ళకి కొంచెము బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ ఉండకపోవచ్చు ఏది రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాల ఎడల. కాబట్టి పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజము కంటే ముందు వచ్చింది మోడర్నిజం, మోడర్నిటీ. అంటే మోడర్న్ సొసైటీస్, మోడర్నిజము వాదానికి అనుగుణంగా మెదిలే వ్యవస్థలు ఏ విధంగా ఏర్పడ్డాయి అనే దాని గురించి ఇదివరకు మీరు చదువుంటారు. కాబట్టి దాన్ని కూడా కొంచెం నేర్చుకుంటే, కొంచెం చర్చించుకుంటే ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం బాగా అర్థమవుతుంది. ఉదాహరణకి మనము ఇదివరకే కొన్ని సిద్ధాంతాలు నేర్చుకున్నాం, చర్చించినాం. అవి ముఖ్యంగా లిబరలిజము లేక వ్యక్తి శ్రేయోవాదము, కమ్యూనిజం, ఈ రెండు కలిపి ఒకదానికి ఒకటి కలిసి ఉన్నాయి. తర్వాత కన్జర్వేటిజం అంటే సాంప్రదాయ రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతవాదం. సాంప్రదాయాలను పాటించాలా, తర్వాత ఇదివరకు ఉన్న వ్యవస్థను పూర్తి ఒకేసారి తీసివేయకూడదు, మెల్లమెల్లగా మార్చుకోవాలనే సిద్ధాంతం ఇది కన్జర్వేటిజం అనే దాని గురించి నేర్చుకున్నాం. అదేవిధంగా ఫెమినిస్ట్ పొలిటికల్ థియరీ అంటే స్త్రీ స్వేచ్ఛావాదము, స్త్రీ సంక్షేమవాదం గురించి కూడా నేర్చుకున్నాం. అయితే ఒక స్త్రీ స్వేచ్ఛావాదము తప్ప ఈ ఇదివరకు చదివిన సిద్ధాంతాలన్నీ, రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాలన్నీ, ఇది ఉదాహరణ వ్యక్తి శ్రేయవాదము, సోషల్ కాంట్రాక్ట్ సిద్ధాంతాలు అంటారు. సోషల్ కాంట్రాక్ట్ అంటే వ్యక్తి, పౌరుని మరియు రాజ్యము మధ్యన ఏర్పడే కాంట్రాక్ట్ ద్వారా ఏర్పడిన రాజ్యం ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో, మరియు మార్క్సిజం ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో, అవి మోడర్నిటీని అది రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాయి అన్నట్టు. మోడర్న్ సొసైటీస్ అంటారు, మోడర్న్ సమాజాలు, మోడర్న్ సంబంధాలు. ఉదాహరణకి సమాజంకి వ్యక్తి మధ్య సంబంధాలు, తర్వాత రాజ్యానికి సమాజానికి మధ్య సంబంధాలు, రాజ్యానికి వ్యక్తి మధ్య సంబంధాలు. ఈ సంబంధాలు ఏంటంటే మోడర్న్ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్లో ఉంటాయి. అది ఉదారవాద సిద్ధాంతం కానీ మరి మార్క్సిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతం కానీ. అయితే అఫ్కోర్స్ సాంప్రదాయవాద సిద్ధాంతము ఏదైతే ఉందో, వ్యక్తివాద మన సాంప్రదాయవాద సిద్ధాంతం చాలా మట్టికి అది మోడర్న్ అనలేము. ఎందుకంటే అది ఈ మోడర్న్ దృక్పథంతో ఏర్పడ్డ సిద్ధాంతాలు వచ్చిన తర్వాత దాన్ని చాలామంది ఇంటలెక్చువల్స్, తర్వాత కన్జర్వేటివ్స్ దెమ్సెల్వ్స్ యాక్చువల్లీ రిజెక్టెడ్ దాట్ కన్జర్వేటివ్. కాబట్టి ముఖ్యంగా ఉన్న సిద్ధాంతాలు ఏంటి అంటే మోడర్న్ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్లో రిప్రజెంట్ చేసి ప్రతిబింబించే సిద్ధాంతాలు ఏమంటే లిబరలిజము, వ్యక్తి శ్రేయవాదము ఒకవైపు, తర్వాత రెండవది మార్క్సిజము, సోషలిజము ఇంకొకటి. సో ఈ సిద్ధాంతాలు మోడర్నిటీని ప్రతిబింబింపజేస్తాయి కదా. అయితే ఏ విధంగా ప్రతిబింబించినాయి అవి అంటే, ఈ ఇదివరకు ట్రెడిషనల్ మెథడ్స్, మిడిల్ ఏజెస్లో వచ్చిన సిద్ధాంతాలు, రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాలు ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, ఇది రాచరికాన్ని, తర్వాత మతాన్ని కేంద్రీకృతంగా చేసుకునేవి, తర్వాత ఆ మతాన్ని కేంద్రీకరణ చేసుకొని తర్వాత మతంతో ముడిపడి ఉన్న సమాజాలు, రాజ్యాలు ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో వాటిని ధిక్కరించి కొత్త సమాజాలు, కొత్త రాజనీతి వ్యవస్థలు ఏర్పడడానికి దారితీస్తుంది. సో అదే నిజానికి ఆధునికీకరణ చేయడం ద్వారా ఆధునికత సమాజాలు ఏర్పడతాయి, ఆధునిక రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాలు ఏర్పడతాయి, ఆధునిక రాజనీతి వ్యవస్థలు ఏర్పడతాయి. సో ఈ వ్యక్తి శ్రేయవాదము మరియు మార్క్సిస్ట్ రాజనీతి వాదము ఇవి మోడర్నిటీని ప్రతిబింబింపచేస్తాయి. అయితే ఈ మోడర్నిటీ యొక్క ముఖ్య లక్షణాలు ఏంటి అని మనం చెప్తే, అది ఫస్ట్ ఏంటంటే బ్రాడ్గా విశాలంగా చూస్తే మాత్రము ఇది మిడిల్ ఏజెస్లో ఉన్న రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాలకి వ్యతిరేకము, తర్వాత దేవునిపై మరియు మతంపై, తర్వాత ఇంకా అటువంటి ఐడియాస్పై ఆధారపడ్డ రాజరికాలని డైమన్స్ సముద్ర సిద్ధాంతం ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, అది వ్యతిరేకంగా ఉన్న సిద్ధాంతాలపై ఏర్పాటైన ఈ మోడర్న్ రాజనీతి వ్యవస్థలు ఈ రెండు ముఖ్యమైనవి. అయితే ఆధునిక మోడర్నైజేషన్ అనే మోడర్న్ అనే వాటికి ముఖ్య లక్షణాలు ఏంటి అంటే చూస్తే మనము ఫస్ట్ ఏంటంటే హేతువాదం. అంటే ప్రతిదాన్ని హేతుబద్ధంగా, అంటే మనిషిలో నుండి వచ్చే, మనిషి మెదడు నుండి వచ్చే హేతుబద్ధమైన వాదనలు, భావనలు. అదేవిధంగా శాస్త్రీయ వాదన అంటే సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్మెంట్. తర్వాత ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే మన రీజనింగ్, ప్రతిదానికి రీజన్స్, కాజ్ అండ్ ఎఫెక్ట్ ప్రతిదానికి కారణం చూపెట్టాలి. ఆ కారణం కూడా నిజానికి ఎంపిరికల్గా ఉండాలా. మీరు ఇదివరకే కొన్ని అప్పచోళ్ళు చదువుతున్నారు. పాజిటివిజం అని ఆగస్ట్ కాంప్ట్ అనేవాడు పాజిటివ్ సిద్ధాంతాన్ని తీసుకొచ్చాడు. ప్రతిదాన్ని ఏ సిద్ధాంతాన్నైనా, ఏ భావనైనా నమ్మడము, తర్వాత అనుసరించడం ఎట్లా ఉండాలంటే అది మన కళ్ళకు కనబడాలి, మనము దాన్ని అది అనుభూతి చెందాలి, అనుభవం ద్వారా, ఎంపిరికల్ అంటారు. సో పాజిటివిజం అనే సిద్ధాంతం తీసుకొచ్చాడు. సో వీటన్నిటి మీద ఏర్పడ్డదే ఆధునికత. సో ఈ ఆధునికీకరణ కూడా ఇంకా కొన్ని లక్షణాలు కలిగి ఉంటుంది. ఫస్ట్ ఇంకొకటి ఏంటంటే ఇండస్ట్రియలైజేషన్. ఈ పాత పద్ధతిలో ఉత్పత్తి విధానాలు, ఉత్పత్తి సంబంధాలు ఉండకుండా పారిశ్రామికీకరణ ఎట్లా జరుగుతుంది? కొత్త ఇన్నోవేషన్ జరిగినప్పుడు, కొత్త శాస్త్రాలు వచ్చినప్పుడు దానికి సంబంధించిన సాంకేతిక విజ్ఞానము, సాంకేతిక పరిజ్ఞానం అనుసరించి అభివృద్ధి జరిగినప్పుడు, ఇండస్ట్రీస్ ఏర్పడినప్పుడు అది ఒక ఆధునికతకి ఆధునికీకరణ అంటారు. సో ఈ మోడర్నిజం అనేది నిజానికి నిజానికి ఇండస్ట్రియలైజేషన్ అనే ఒక సూచన. అదే ఆర్థిక రంగంలో. రాజకీయ రంగంలో మోడర్నిటీ అంటే ఏంటి అంటే, మోడర్నిటీ అనే దానికి ఇంకొక ముఖ్య రాజకీయ రంగంలో ఏం లక్షణం అంటే ప్రజాస్వామ్యం. అంటే ప్రజల కొరకు, ప్రజల ద్వారా నడిచే ప్రభుత్వము, ప్రజల సంక్షేమం కొరకు, ప్రజల కొరకు ఏర్పడే రాజ్యము. తర్వాత అంటే ఇంకా లోతుగా ఆలోచిస్తే అది ప్రజాస్వామ్యం ఏ విధంగా నడవాలా. ఎందుకంటే ప్రజాస్వామ్యం అనే వాటి అన్నమందరినీ అది ప్రజాస్వామ్యం కాదు, ఒట్టిగా రాదు. అది ప్రజాస్వామ్యం ఏ విధంగా నడవాలా అనే ఆ ప్రక్రియ గురించి కూడా కొన్ని పద్ధతులు ఉండాలి, ప్రత్యేకమైన పద్ధతులు ఉండాలి. అప్పుడే అది మోడర్న్ సొసైటీ అంటారు. అందులో ముఖ్యంగా ప్రజలు ప్రజాస్వామ్య రాజకీయ వ్యవస్థలను ఎలా నడుపుకోవాలంటే వాళ్ళు ఓట్ల ద్వారా, ఎన్నికల ద్వారా తమ యొక్క ప్రతినిధులను ఎన్నుకొని, ఆ ప్రతినిధుల ద్వారా చట్టాలు చేసుకొని ఆ ప్రతినిధులు నియమించుకున్న ప్రభుత్వాలు ఏర్పరచుకొని ఆ ప్రభుత్వం యొక్క పాలనలో నడుచుకోవడము, ప్రవర్తించడము అనేది కూడా ఉండాలి. సో ప్రజాస్వామ్య ప్రక్రియలు కూడా నిజానికి ఈ మోడర్నైజేషన్, మోడర్నిజంలో ఒక భాగం. మోడర్నిటీకి ఒక లక్షణం అంటే ఫీచర్ అంటారు దాన్ని, FEATHER లక్షణం. అదేవిధంగా కల్చరల్ కూడా స్వాతంత్రం, స్వేచ్ఛ, ఈక్వాలిటీ ఈ మోడర్నిటీ యొక్క ముఖ్యమైన లక్షణం. సో ఈ విధంగా ఈ మోడర్నిజం అనే వాదంలో నిజానికి కొన్ని ముఖ్యమైన రాజనీతి సూత్రాలు, పర్టికులర్ పవరు, సావరెంటీ, తర్వాత స్వేచ్ఛ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో అవి అంటే మన ఉదారవాద సిద్ధాంతము అంటే శ్రేయవాదము, తర్వాత మార్క్సిస్ట్ పొలిటికల్ థియరీ, ఈ వాదములలో ఎట్లా పవర్ అంటే ఏంటి, ఈక్వాలిటీ అంటే ఏంటి, స్వేచ్ఛ అంటే ఏంటి అని మనము ప్రశ్నించుకుంటే ఈ రెండు మోడర్న్ సిద్ధాంతాల ప్రకారం పవర్ అనేది ఒక వ్యక్తిలో, ఒక ఏజెన్సీలో కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉంటుంది. అదేవిధంగా వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చిన స్వాతంత్రం, ఈక్వాలిటీ వ్యక్తులకి, పౌరులకి వస్తుంది. అంటే మీది నుంచి సామాన్యంగా కిందికి వస్తుంది. అదేవిధంగా పవర్ అనేది మన కింది స్థాయికి వచ్చినప్పుడు, కింద అంటే మీదనో సార్వభౌమాధికారము, ఒక ఏజెన్సీ, గవర్నమెంట్, అది వ్యక్తుల సమూహంగా ఉండే ప్రభుత్వం కావచ్చు, ఒక వ్యక్తి లో అధికారం ఉండొచ్చు, లేకపోతే మన అమెరికాలో ఉన్నట్టు థియరీ ఆఫ్ సెపరేషన్ పవర్, ఈ మూడిట్లో కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉండొచ్చు. సో అది మీది నుంచి కిందికి ఇవ్వబడుతుంది ఒక విధంగా. అవి ఒకసారి మొత్తము ప్రజల మీద అధికారం చెలాయించే ప్రాసెస్లో అది వెనక్కి తీసుకొని ఎమర్జెన్సీ, తర్వాత డిక్టేటర్షిప్ కూడా మన ఏర్పాటు చేయడం జరుగుతుంది ఈ మీదే ఉండే వ్యవస్థల నుండి ద్వారా. సో అంటే ఈ మోడర్న్ రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాల ప్రకారము పవర్ అనేది, అధికారం అనేది ఒక వ్యక్తిలో కానీ, వ్యక్తుల సమూహంలో కానీ కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉంటుంది. ఒక 2-3 వ్యవస్థల్లో కేంద్రీకమై ఉంటుంది. అది మన ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ కానీ, తర్వాత న్యాయ వ్యవస్థ కానీ, మరియు పార్లమెంట్ కానీ అక్కడ కేంద్రీకృతమై అవి కిందికి ప్రసరించి కింది వాళ్ళకి, అంటే ప్రజలకి, పౌరులకి ఇవ్వబడుతుంది. అంటే అది బాటమ కింది నుంచి అనేది మీదికి రాకుండా మీది నుంచి కిందికి వస్తుంది అన్నట్టు. సో ఈ విధంగా పవర్ గురించి వాళ్ళు మన సిద్ధాంతీకరించారు అన్నట్టు, ఇది మోడర్నిస్ట్. అదేవిధంగా పవర్ అనేది, అధికారము సామాన్యంగా ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్ థియరీస్, శ్రేయవాదము, తర్వాత వీటి ప్రకారం ఏంటంటే పవర్ అనేది నిజానికి ఒక నెగటివ్ దృక్పథంతో చూడబడింది అన్నట్టు. అంటే పవర్ అంటే నెగటివ్, నిరర్థకమైంది. అదేవిధంగా పవర్ అనేది ఎప్పటికీ అప్రెసివ్ ఏజెంటు, అప్రెసివ్ ప్రక్రియగా చూడబడింది. దానికి ఒక సంవర్ధక మన అర్థం లేదు. కాబట్టి పవర్ను ప్రత్యేకంగా వ్యక్తివాదంలో కానీ, మార్క్సిస్ట్ వాదంలో కానీ పవర్ను వ్యతిరేకించడం జరిగిందని. అదేవిధంగా దాన్ని దాని యొక్క నష్టాలను, దాని యొక్క నెగటివ్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ని వ్యతిరేకించాలంటే పోరాటాలు జరగాల, రెసిస్టెన్స్ చేయాలి. దాన్ని ఆ పవర్ నిజానికి ఒక విధంగా మన నశింప చేయాలి, దాన్ని అసమర్థంగా లేకుండా చేయాలా అనే విధంగా పవర్ గురించి వాళ్ళు మన సిద్ధాంతీకరించారు. అదేవిధంగా సార్వభౌమాధికారాన్ని కూడా, అంటే సావరిటీ అనేది, అబ్సల్యూట్ పవర్ అనేది సామాన్యంగా రాజ్యానికి ఉంటుంది అనేది ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్. ఒక సామాన్యంగా రాజ్యంలో కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉంటుందని వాళ్ళు భావించారు. ఇది మోడర్నిస్ట్. ఇది ఏవైతే మన హితవాదము, జ్ఞానము, తర్వాత శాస్త్రీయత వీటి మీద ఆధారపడి ఏర్పడ్డాయి. సో వాళ్ళ దృష్టిలో, ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్ దృష్టిలో సామాన్యంగా పవర్ అనేది ఒక నెగటివ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్, నెగటివ్ ఏజెంట్ అనేదిగా చూస్తారు. సో వీటన్ని తర్వాత ఇంకొకటి ఏంటంటే, పవర్ అనేది అంటే పవర్ను రెసిస్ట్ చేసేది ఒక వర్గంలో కేంద్రీకృతమయ్యే శక్తి అని కూడా వాళ్ళు భావించారు. ఒక వర్గం అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ క్లాస్, మార్క్సిజంలో క్లాస్, తర్వాత మన లిబరల్ డెమోక్రసీలో పౌరులు, వీళ్ళలో కేంద్రీకృతమై అని భావించారన్నమాట. కానీ అంటే కేంద్రీకృత సెంట్రలైజ్డ్ ప్రక్రియను నిజానికి ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్ పొలిటికల్ థియరీస్ ఉన్నాయో వాటికి ముఖ్య లక్షణమని భావించవచ్చు. అయితే దీనికి వ్యతిరేకంగా, అంటే ఇప్పుడు మనము ఇండస్ట్రియల్ ఎరా అని ఏదైతే అనుకున్నామో, వీటన్నిటి వ్యతిరేకంగా ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతాలు అమలైన తర్వాత, సమాజాలలో శాస్త్రీయబద్ధమైన ప్రక్రియలు జరిగిన తర్వాత, సమాజము మోడర్నైజ్ అయిన తర్వాత, మళ్ళీ నెక్స్ట్ స్టేజ్ ఏంటి అంటే, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ అంటే మోడర్నిజం, పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిటీ వచ్చే పరిస్థితులు ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, మార్క్సిజం అమలైన తర్వాత వచ్చే పరిస్థితులు ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, ఆ పరిస్థితులకి ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్, అది లిబరలిజం కానీ మార్క్సిజం కానీ నిజానికి ఉపయోగపడతాయా లేదా అనేది కొత్త ప్రశ్న బయలుదేరింది అన్నట్టు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇండస్ట్రియలైజేషన్ అయింది, తర్వాత మార్క్సిజంలో కూడా, మార్క్సిజం తర్వాత కమ్యూనిజం తర్వాత అసలు ఇంకా మార్పులు జరుగుతాయి కదా. ఆ మార్పులు ఏంటివి, ఏ మార్పులు జరుగుతాయి? ఆ మార్పులో జరిగిన తర్వాత ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్, ప్రీ మోడర్న్ అంటే ఈ పాత మోడర్నిటీ, ఆధునికీయత అనేవి వాల్యుబుల్ ఉంటాయా, వ్యాలిడ్ అవుతాయా అనేది కొత్త ప్రశ్న. అయితే ఈ కొత్త పరిస్థితుల ప్రకారము నిజానికి కొత్తగా పోస్ట్ ఇండస్ట్రియల్ సొసైటీ లైక్ ఇందులో ముఖ్యంగా వచ్చింది ఏంటంటే పోస్ట్ మార్క్సిజం అనేది వచ్చిందండి. ఎందుకంటే మార్క్సిజం అనేది కొన్ని దేశాల్లో ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయబడ్డ తర్వాత, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఫార్మర్ సోవియట్ యూనియన్ అనుకోండి, తర్వాత అదే కొంచెం మనము మొదట 1949 నుంచి 1990 వరకు ఏర్పడ్డ చైనాలో ఏర్పడ్డ సోషలిజం కానీ, అంటే చైనాలో ఇంకా మార్పులు వచ్చినా కూడా కమ్యూనిజమే అంటున్నారు, కొంతవరకు కమ్యూనిస్ట్ లక్షణాలు ఉన్నాయనుకోండి. ఇందులో వచ్చిన పోస్ట్ మార్క్సిస్ట్ పరిస్థితులు ఏర్పడిన తర్వాత, వచ్చిన తర్వాత అప్పటి ఆ పరిస్థితులకు అనుగుణంగా రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతంలో లేకపోతే సామాజిక సిద్ధాంతం కూడా మారతాయా? ఆ మారినప్పుడు వచ్చిన కొత్త భావనలు, కొత్త సిద్ధాంతాలు ఏంటివంటే అవి పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతం. అంటే ఆధునిక మన రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతం. ఆధునిక అంతత్ అంటే మోడర్నిజం అనే ఫేజ్ దాటిన తర్వాత. సో ఆధునికాంతర రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతం లేదా సామాజిక సిద్ధాంతం. అయితే ఈ ఆధునికాంతర సిద్ధాంతం ఏంటి అంటే అది పూర్వంలో ఉన్న దానికి పూర్వం ఉన్న మోడర్న్ సొసైటీస్ ఏవైతే మన సాంప్రదాయవాదము, తర్వాత మతపరమైన మత మీద ఆధారపడిన రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతం వాటి వ్యతిరేకం వచ్చిందో, ఆ ఆధునిక సమాజాలు ఆధునికీకరణ చేయబడ్డ తర్వాత, ఇండస్ట్రియలైజేషన్ చేయబడిన తర్వాత, ఆధునిక రాజనీతి వ్యవస్థలు ఏర్పడిన తర్వాత కొత్త పరిస్థితులు వచ్చినవి. ఆ ఆధునిక అంతర పరిస్థితుల్లో పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం రావాలి కదా. పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ పరిస్థితుల్లో పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం రావాలి కదా. సో ఆ వచ్చిందని అనుకున్న తర్వాత దాని యొక్క ముఖ్య లక్షణాలు ఏంటివి? ఆ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం అంటే ఆధునికానంతర పరిస్థితుల్లో వచ్చిన ఆధునికానంతర రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాలు కానీ, సామాజిక సిద్ధాంతాలు కానీ, వాటి యొక్క ముఖ్య లక్షణాలు ఏంటి అని మనము తెలుసుకుంటే, అది ముఖ్యంగా ఇదివరకు ఉన్న వ్యక్తి స్వయవాద సిద్ధాంతాలు, తర్వాత మన మార్క్సిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతాలు, అవి చాలా వరకు పూర్తిగా వ్యతిరేకించలేదు. పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం పొలిటికల్ థియరీస్, ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ఉదారవాద సిద్ధాంతాలు, మార్క్సిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతాలు ఏవైతే మోడర్నిస్ట్ ఉన్నాయో వాటిని పూర్తిగా వ్యతిరేకించలేదు. కానీ ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ అంటే అవి ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఏర్పడ్డ పరిస్థితుల్లో కొత్తగా ఆలోచించాలి అనే ప్రతిపాదనలు వచ్చినాయి. అందులో ముఖ్యంగా పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ థింకర్స్ అంటే ఆధునిక అనంతర రాజనీతి మైకెల్ ఫుకో, చాంతాల్ మౌఫీ, తర్వాత డెరిడా, వీళ్ళలో ముఖ్యంగా కొత్త భావాలు ఏర్పడ్డాయి. వీళ్ళు కొత్తగా ఒక భిన్నంగా ఆలోచించారు. అంటే వ్యక్తిస్వయవాదులకు తర్వాత మార్క్స్ సిద్ధాంతకర్తలకి భిన్నంగా ఆలోచించారు. భిన్నంగా సిద్ధాంతం వివిధ విషయాలని, వివిధ అంశాలని, సమాజంలోని వివిధ అంశాలని పూర్తిగా భిన్నంగా ఆలోచించారు. అందుకే వీళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ థింకర్స్ అంటారు. అయితే ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ థింకర్లో మనం అనుకున్నట్టు ముఖ్యంగా చాంతాల్ మోఫే, తర్వాత మైకెల్ ఫూకో అనేవాడు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజంని తన యొక్క పుస్తకంలో, కొన్ని పుస్తకాల్లో రాశాడు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నాలెడ్జ్, పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ థింకర్స్, మైకెల్ ఫూకో. ఓకే, తన యొక్క అంతేకాకుండా జీన్ ఫ్రాన్సిస్ లియోటార్డ్ అనేవాడు కూడా పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజంను డెవలప్ చేశాడు. ముఖ్యంగా ఇతని యొక్క పుస్తకం ఏంటంటే ది పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ కండిషన్, ఏ రిపోర్ట్ ఆన్ నాలెడ్జ్ని కూడా వీళ్ళు ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు, అది ఆధునిక అనంతర రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతకర్తలు లేకపోతే సామాజిక సిద్ధాంతకర్తలు నాలెడ్జ్ని కూడా పునర్నిర్వచించారు. దాన్ని కొత్త మీనింగ్ ఇచ్చారు నాలెడ్జ్ కూడా. అయితే ఇతను రాసిన పుస్తకం జీన్ ఫ్రాంకోస్ లియోటార్డ్ రాసిన పుస్తకం పేరు ది పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ కండిషన్, ఏ రిపోర్ట్ ఆన్ నాలెడ్జ్. ఇది నిజానికి పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ ఆలోచనలో, పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ సిద్ధాంతాల్లో ఒక బైబిల్గా పరిగణించబడుతుంది. ఎందుకంటే పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం అంటే ఏంది అని తెలుసుకోవాలంటే ఈ పుస్తకముని తప్పకుండా చదవాల్సి ఉంటుంది, ఈ పుస్తకమే రెఫర్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. దీనికి దీని తర్వాత మనం చూడాల్సింది అంటే మైకల్ ఫూకో ఇంకా నిజానికి అతని ఫోకస్ తప్పకుండా నాలెడ్జ్ కొత్త విధంగా కొత్త పరిస్థితుల్లో ఆధునికతానంతరంగా నాలెడ్జ్ని ఏ విధంగా చూడాలి, పవర్ని ఏ విధంగా చూడాలి, పవర్ అనేది ఎట్లా మన నిర్వహించబడుతుంది, పవర్ అనేది ఏ విధంగా చలాయించబడుతుంది, పవర్ అనేది ఎక్కడ ఉంటుంది, దానికి అస్తిత్వం ఏంటి, పవర్ యొక్క అస్తిత్వం ఏంటి అనే దాని మీద చాలా ఫోకస్ చేశాడు. పవర్ అనేది రాజ్యము, సార్వభౌమాధికారం ఇవన్నీ మనం చాలా రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాలు ముఖ్యంగా వస్తాయి, అందరికీ తెలుసు. అదేవిధంగా వీళ్ళు కూడా పవర్ను మళ్ళీ కొత్త మీనింగ్ ఇచ్చారు, కొత్త అస్తిత్వం ఇచ్చారు. పవర్ ఎక్కడ ఉంటుంది, ఏ విధంగా ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేయబడుతుంది, దాని యొక్క స్వరూపం ఏంటి, స్వభావం ఏంటి అనేదాన్ని కొత్తగా నిర్వచించారు. అయితే సమాజంలో సామాజిక అస్తిత్వము, తర్వాత సామాజిక వ్యవస్థలు, రాజనీతి వ్యవస్థలకి మూలం ఒక కేంద్రీకృతమైన ప్రక్రియ, ఒక కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉన్న వ్యవస్థల్లో ఉంటుందని సామాన్యంగా ఈ వ్యక్తిశ్రేయవాదులు, తర్వాత మన మార్క్సిస్టు వాదులు అనుకుంటారు. కానీ అంటే వాళ్ళు ఒక సమాజానికి ఒక చాలా విశాలమైన గ్రాండ్ ఉన్న రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతాల్ని వాళ్ళు అన్నిటికీ, సమాజంలో ఉన్న అన్ని విషయాలకి మూలంగా భావించారు. అంటే దాన్ని అంటే గ్రాండ్ నరేటివ్స్ అని అంటారు. గ్రాండ్ నరేటివ్స్ అంటే సామాన్యంగా విశాలమైనవి, మొత్తం టోటాలిటీని రిప్రజెంట్ చేసేటివి, కొన్ని ఒకటి రెండు ఈ అంశాలు, ఆ విషయాన్ని వాళ్ళు చూశారన్నట్టు. అంటే ఉదాహరణకి సమాజంలో ఒక్కొక్క రంగంలో ఒక్కొక్క నెరేటివ్, ఒక్కొక్క అస్తిత్వం, సమూహాలు కానీ, లేకపోతే వర్గాలు కానీ, కేటగిరీస్ కానీ, సోషల్ కేటగిరీస్ కానీ, అవి ఒక్కొక్క మన స్థానిక లెవెల్లో, తర్వాత ప్రాంతీయ లెవెల్లో ఎగ్జిస్ట్ అయి ఉంటాయి. తర్వాత అవి వాటిలో ప్రక్రియలు జరుగుతుంటాయి. అయితే ఈ కింది లెవెల్లో, తర్వాత ప్రాంతీయ లెవెల్లో జరిగే ప్రక్రియలకి ఈ గ్రాండ్ థియరీస్ ప్రాముఖ్యత ఇవ్వవు. సో దాంట్లో ఆ విధంగా ప్రాముఖ్యత పోవడం వల్ల ఈ ప్రాంతీయ స్థాయిలో మరియు స్థానిక స్థాయిలో, లోకల్ లెవెల్లో జరిగే ప్రక్రియకి ప్రాధాన్యత ఉండదు. ప్రాధాన్యత ఉండడం వల్ల నిజానికి మనం వాస్తవికతని పూర్తిగా మర్చిపోతున్న, దాన్ని పరిగణలోనికి తీసుకోవడం లేదు అనే విధంగా ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ థింకర్స్ ఆలోచించారు. వీళ్ళ ప్రకారము ప్రాంతీయ స్థాయిలో, స్థానిక స్థాయిలో జరిగే ప్రక్రియలు వాస్తవికత, అస్తిత్వాలు కూడా చాలా ముఖ్యమైనవి, అవి భిన్నమైనవి. వాటన్నిటిని కలిపేసి ఒక గ్రాండ్ వాస్తవికత అనేది తీసుకురావడం అనేది ఒక తప్పైనదని వీళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ఆలోచిస్తారు. సామాన్యంగా ఇదొక రకమైన ప్లూరాలిటీ. మనము లాస్ట్కి తెలుగులో మన రూపొందించిన ప్లూరాలిటీ ఉంటుంది, దానికి పోలి ఉంటుంది. సో వీళ్ళు మైక్రో లెవెల్కి, తర్వాత మైక్రో లెవెల్ అంటే కింది స్థాయి, తర్వాత మన పెద్దది కాకుండా చిన్న స్థాయి, చిన్న వ్యవస్థ, చిన్న కంపెనీ, అవి ఉంటాయి కదా, వాటి గురించి జరిగే ప్రక్రియలకి, వాటికి సంబంధించిన సంబంధాలు చాలా ముఖ్యంగా ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ పరిగణించారు. దాన్ని హైలైట్ కూడా చేశారు. అయితే అదేవిధంగా ఈ గ్రాండ్ నరేటివ్స్ అంటే టోటల్గా ఆలోచించే నరేటివ్స్ ఏమైతే ఉన్నాయో వాటి ప్రాంతీయ స్థాయిలో లోకల్ స్థాయిలో జరిగే కార్యక్రమాలు, ప్రక్రియలు అవి లేవనే విధంగా, అంటే అవి ఉండవు అనే విధంగా వాటి ప్రాధాన్యత ఇవ్వకుండా చేయడం జరిగింది అన్నట్టు. సో వాటిని హైలైట్ చేయాలని ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ భావిస్తారు. అయితే ముఖ్యంగా మనము చివరికి అంటే ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ థింకర్స్ మైకెల్ ఫూకో, తర్వాత లియోటార్డ్, తర్వాత ఇంకా కొందరు ఉన్నారు, డెరిడా అనే అతను కూడా ఉన్నాడు. కానీ డెరిడా అనేది డీకన్స్ట్రక్షనిస్ట్ అతను. కానీ ముఖ్యంగా మనం ఫోకస్ ఎక్కడ చేయాలంటే మైకెల్ ఫూకోను, తర్వాత ఫ్రాంకిస్ లియోటార్డ్ అనే వాళ్ళ మీద మన రాజనీతి సంస్థల ప్రకారం వాళ్ళ రచనలకి, వాళ్ళ భావాలకి, వాళ్ళ సిద్ధాంతాలకి మనం ప్రాముఖ్యతని ఇవ్వాల్సి ఉంటుంది. అయితే ముఖ్యంగా వీళ్ళ ఉద్దేశంలో, వీళ్ళ ఆలోచనలో ఈ సమాజంలో ఈ మోడర్నిస్ట్ పద్ధతిలో అంటే లిబరల్ తర్వాత మార్క్సిస్ట్ థియరీల వల్ల వచ్చిన ఒక భావన ఏదైతే ఉందో ఆ భావన ఏంటంటే సమాజంలో వివిధ రంగాల మధ్య భేదాలు ఉంటాయి, వివిధ రంగాలను వేర్పరచి అనేది ముఖ్యంగా ఉండేది. అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ పాలిటిక్స్ ఇస్ డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ సోషియాలజీ డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ మన హిస్టరీ. ఈ సబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, రకరకాల సబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా. ఈ డిసిప్లినరీ సెపరేషన్ అనేది వీళ్ళు రికగ్నైజ్ చేయరు. అట్లా చేస్తే తప్పు. అంటే వాటిని వేరువేరుగా చూసి వేరువేరు రంగాలుగా విభజించి ఒక్కొక్క రంగానికి ఉన్న అంశాలను ఒక్కొక్క రంగం సెపరేట్ చేసి ఇంకొక రంగాన్ని సెపరేట్ చేసి చూడడం అనేది తప్పు అని అంటారు. సో డిసిప్లినరీ సెపరేషన్ అనేది వీళ్ళు తప్పుగా భావించి వీటన్నిటినీ కలిపి చదవాలా. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ కలిపి చదవడం అని అంటే మన ఎవరు జ్ఞాపకం వస్తారు? అరిస్టాటిల్, తర్వాత ప్లాటో అనే అటువంటి వాళ్ళు మనకి గుర్తుకొస్తారు. అది మీకు తెలుసు. అంటే పూర్తిగా అరిస్టాటిల్ మన రిప్రజెంట్ చేసే సమాజంలోని అన్ని అంశాలకు ప్రతిబింబమై అతని సిద్ధాంతం, అతని యొక్క వ్యక్తిత్వం, అతని యొక్క కంట్రిబ్యూషన్ అనేది పూర్తి అదేనా అంటే అది పూర్తి అదే కాకపోవచ్చు, కానీ దానికి పోలి ఉంటుందని చెప్పవచ్చు. ఉదాహరణకి అరిస్టాటిల్ సైన్స్లో గొప్పవాడు, అదేవిధంగా మన పాలిటిక్స్లో గొప్పవాడు, అదేవిధంగా ఆర్థిక రంగంలో గొప్పవాడు. అంటే అన్ని అంశాలను అతను ఒకటి దగ్గర నుంచి ఒకటి సెపరేట్ చేసి చూడలేదు. మతాన్ని, రాజనీతిని, మన చర్చిను, తర్వాత స్టేట్ని, వాటిన్నిటిని సెపరేట్ చేసి చూడలేదు. నిజానికి మన భారతీయ రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతం కూడా మన ఇతర సమాజంలో ఇతర రంగాల నుంచి పూర్తిగా సెపరేట్ చేసి చూడలేదు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, కింగ్ వాజ్ ఆఫ్ కోర్స్ హ్యావింగ్ ఎకనామిక్ థింకింగ్, ప్రాపర్ ఎకనామిక్ థింకింగ్. King was having powers and at the same time knowledge about justice and judiciary. King was in fact excessive power. అన్ని విషయాలు అతనిలో కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉన్నది. అంత నిజానికి ఇంకా చాలా లోపలికి చూస్తే అతను యుద్ధంలో అతనే ఒక నాయకుడిగా సైన్యాధికారులతో నిస్సహాయంగా చేసి, అంటే నిజానికి అందులో కూడా కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉన్నాయి. అదేవిధంగా సమాజంలో ఉన్న ఈ సోషల్ సైన్సెస్ ఏమున్నాయో విభజింపబడి చూడబడినవి. ఏవి? ఈ లిబరలిజం, తర్వాత మార్క్సిజంలో విభజింపబడి చదవబడినవి, చూడబడినవి, విశ్లేషించబడి. ఒకసారి ఏంటంటే మనం చూస్తున్నాం కదా, రాజనీతి సిద్ధాంతం, రాజనీతిక నాయకులకి వేరే రంగులకు నాలెడ్జ్ ఉండదు అన్నట్టు. అదేవిధంగా మనం లిబరల్ డెమోక్రసీలో సామాన్యంగా న్యాయ వ్యవస్థలో ఉండే వాళ్ళకి జడ్జెస్ కానీ లాయర్స్ కానీ సామాన్యంగా పొలిటికల్ నాలెడ్జ్ తక్కువ ఉంటుంది. ఆర్థిక శాస్త్రంలో ఉన్న నాలెడ్జ్కి పూర్తిగా వాళ్ళకి పూర్తిగా దూరం వాళ్ళకి తెలియదు. అంటే మొదటి నుంచే వాటిని సెపరేట్ చేసి చదవడం జరిగిందన్నమాట. అయితే వీళ్ళు అంటే పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు ఆధునికానంతర సిద్ధాంతకర్తలు పోస్ట్ విశ్లేషించడం అది తప్పైన మార్గమని వాళ్ళు భావించారు. సో పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజంలో హిస్టరీ, పాలిటిక్స్, ఎకనామిక్స్ అన్నీ కలిపి చూడబడితే ఐక్యంగా చేయబడి విశ్లేషింపబడతాయి, చూడబడతాయి. వీళ్ళ యొక్క ముఖ్య ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజం యొక్క ముఖ్య లక్షణం. తర్వాత మనము రాజకీయ రంగానికి సంబంధించిన విషయాలకు ముఖ్యంగా ఫోకస్ చేస్తే పవర్ అనేది సార్వభౌమదారి దగ్గర కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉండదు. కేంద్రీకృతం అంటే ఇప్పుడు సామాన్యంగా ఏమవుతుంది అంటే పవర్ అనేది మార్క్సిస్ట్ ప్రకారం కానీ తర్వాత మన వ్యక్తిశ్రేయవాద సిద్ధాంతంలో కానీ పవర్ సామాన్యంగా ఒకటి కానీ 2-3 దానికి సంబంధించిన సమానంగా ఉండే వ్యవస్థల్లో కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉంటుంది. అయితే వీళ్ళ ప్రకారము అధికారము కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉండదు. ఆ విధంగా ఆలోచిస్తే మనం చాలా విషయాలని మనము పరిగణలోకి తీసుకోవడం లేదు. అది తప్పైన విషయంగా మన చూస్తారు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు. అదేవిధంగా లొకేషన్ అంటే పవర్కి లొకేషను ఒకే రాజకీయ వ్యవస్థలో కాకుండా అది సమాజం మొత్తంలో ఉంటుంది, ఫ్యామిలీలో ఉంటుంది. తర్వాత ఇంకా సామాజిక వ్యవస్థలు ఉంటాయి కదా, సంఘాలు ఉంటాయి, పార్టీస్ ఉంటాయి, తర్వాత రకరకాలు ఉంటాయి కదా. ఈ పవర్ అనేది అన్ని చోట్ల ఉంటుంది. ఒక సామాజిక సోషల్ స్ట్రక్చర్లో అన్ని చోట్ల అంతటా ఉంటుంది అనేది ఇది స్ప్రెడ్స్, ఇట్ ఎగ్జిస్ట్ ఇన్ ఆల్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్, ఆల్ సబ్స్ట్రక్చర్స్ ఆఫ్ ద సొసైటీ అని ఇది మన ఆధునికానంతర సిద్ధాంతకర్తలు భావిస్తారు. ఒక విధంగా మార్క్సిస్టులు ఏమంటారు, పవర్ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ క్లాస్ పవర్, పవర్ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ ఎక్సర్సైజ్డ్ బై అప్పర్ క్లాస్ ఓవర్ ద లోయర్ క్లాస్. అంటే అదేవిధంగా పవర్కి సోర్స్ అది తెలుసు కదా, మీకు అందరికీ తెలుసు. ఆర్థిక ఉత్పత్తి మన సాధనాలపై అధికారం సంపాదించి ఒక అప్పర్ క్లాస్ ఏదైతే ఉందో పవర్ కలిగి ఉంటుంది. అది ఏ విధంగా వస్తుంది, ఉత్పత్తి సాధనాలు వాళ్ళ కంట్రోల్ ఉంటాయి కాబట్టి దాని ద్వారా పవర్ వస్తుంది. ఆ పవర్ని ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేస్తారు వాళ్ళు. అంటే మార్క్సిస్ట్ ప్రకారము పవర్ అనేది ఒక వర్గంలో వర్గంలో ఉంటుంది, ఒకే వర్గంలో ఉంటుంది. ఆ వర్గంతో ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేయబడుతుంది, ఆ వర్గంతో చెలాయించబడుతుంది మార్క్సిజం ప్రకారం. అదేవిధంగా లిబరలిజంలో, లిబరల్ డెమోక్రసీలో ఒక వ్యక్తిలోనో లేకపోతే వ్యక్తుల సమూహాల్లోనో అది ఎగ్జిస్ట్ అయి ఉంటుంది. అంటే ఏంటి తన అర్థము, వ్యక్తి శ్రేయోవాదము, వ్యక్తి చుట్టే పవర్ అనేది తిరుగుతుంటుంది. ఏది మన లిబరల్ డెమోక్రసీలో. అదేవిధంగా మార్క్సిజంలో వర్గం అనే దాని గురించి అనే చుట్టూ దాన్ని తిరుగుతుంది అన్నమాట. అయితే దీన్ని కూడా ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్, ఇది ఆధునిక అనంతర వాదము, రిజెక్ట్ చేశారు, ధిక్కరించారు ఆ యొక్క వాదనని. వీళ్ళ ప్రకారము పవర్ అనేది సొసైటీలో అనేక స్థానాల్లో ఉంటుంది మరియు ఎక్సర్సైజ్ కూడా వాళ్ళకి అనేక సందర్భాల్లో అనేక విధాలుగా అది ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేయబడుతుంది, చెలాయించబడుతుంది. సో ఉదాహరణకి ఫ్యామిలీలో ఉదాహరణకి పవర్ ఉంటుంది. పవర్కి ఏదైతే లక్షణాలు ఉంటాయో ఆ లక్షణాలు ఫ్యామిలీలో ఉంటాయి. ఉదాహరణకి హస్బెండ్ వైఫ్ వీళ్ళ మధ్యన కూడా ఒక రకమైన పవర్ ఉంటుంది. సామాన్యంగా ప్యాట్రియార్కల్ సొసైటీలో మీకు తెలుసు పితృసమయ వ్యవస్థ, మన ఫెమినిజం గురించి చదువుకున్నారు. ప్యాట్రియార్కల్ పితృసమయ వ్యవస్థల్లో సామాన్యంగా మన మగ అంటే పురుషుడు మొత్తం పెద్ద పురుషుడు మొత్తం ఫ్యామిలీ మీద ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేస్తాడు. అదేవిధంగా దాన్ని మన ఫ్యామిలీలో ఉన్న వాళ్ళందరూ వాళ్ళు పాటించవలసి ఉంటుంది, దానికి విధేయతగా ఉండవలసి ఉంటుంది. అయితే ఇంకొకటికి పోతే మన సమాజంలో కూడా పవర్ అనేది ఒక సంఘం ఏర్పడిన తర్వాత ఆ సంఘంలో కూడా మన ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ విద్యార్థి సంఘం కానీ, లేకపోతే స్త్రీల సంఘం కానీ, ఉమెన్స్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ కానీ, మన ఇది ఒక వృత్తి సంఘాలు కానీ, ఆ వృత్తి సంఘంలో కూడా పవర్ ఉంటుంది. ఆ పవర్ సామాన్యంగా మీద నుంచి రాదు, మీద నుంచి కిందికి రాదు, వాళ్ళు ఎక్కడి నుంచో రాదు. ఆ పవరు ఆ సమాజంలోనే ఉంటుంది. ఆ సమాజంలో యొక్క చిన్న చిన్న అధికారులు కలిగిన వ్యక్తులు ఉంటారు, సమూహాలు ఉంటాయి. వాళ్ళ మధ్యనే పవర్ అనేది పవర్ ఆ సంఘం కలిగి ఉంటుంది. తర్వాత అది మీద నుంచి రాదు, వాళ్ళ స్వతంత్రంగా వాళ్ళకు ఉంటుంది. సో అదేవిధంగా సమాజంలో ఉన్న అనేక విషయాలు, అనేక అంశాలు, అనేక వ్యవస్థలు తమ పవర్ కలిగి ఉంటాయి. పవర్ అనేది ఒకే వ్యక్తుల్లోనో లేకపోతే ఇద్దరు ముగ్గురు ఈ 2-3 వ్యవస్థల్లోనో కేంద్రీకృతమై ఉండదు అనే విధంగా ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ భావిస్తారు. అదేవిధంగా పవర్ అనేది ఒకే అంశంపై, ఒకే అంశం చుట్టూ ఉంటుందని మనం భావించకూడదు. పవర్ను మనం అనలైజ్ చేసినప్పుడు దానికి సంబంధించిన టాక్టిక్స్, స్ట్రాటజీస్, యుక్తులు, ప్రయుక్తులు వాటన్నిటిని కూడా మనము విశ్లేషించాలా. అంటే పవర్కి సంబంధించిన సంబంధాలుగా విశ్లేషణ కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేయాలా అని వీళ్ళు మన పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు, ఆధునిక అనంతర వాదులు భావిస్తారు. మీకు తెలుసు, సామాన్యంగా మన మార్క్సిస్టులు కానీ, తర్వాత లిబరల్ డెమోక్రట్స్ కానీ ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ అంటారు, ఒక ఐడియాలజీ అంటారు. వాటికే ఎక్కువ ప్రాధాన్యం ఇస్తారు. వాటి నుంచి తక్కినవి టాక్టిక్స్, తర్వాత టెక్నిక్స్, తర్వాత స్ట్రాటజీస్, యుక్తులు, ప్రయుక్తులు వాటి నుంచే వస్తాయి. వాటిని మనం ఎక్కువ వాటికి ఎక్కువ ప్రాముఖ్యత ఇవ్వకూడదు అని అంటారు. ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్కి, ఐడియాలజీకి అది ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఇస్తారు. కానీ ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ఏమంటారంటే పవర్ను మన విశ్లేషించినప్పుడు అవి దానికి సంబంధించిన అన్ని అంశాలు ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో వాటిని కూడా పరిగణన తీసుకోవాలా, వాటికి ప్రాధాన్యత ఇవ్వాలా, వాటిని ఇండిపెండెంట్గా కూడా చూడాలా అని అంటారు. అదేవిధంగా పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ప్రకారము అధికారం, పవర్ మీద నుంచి కిందికి ప్రవహించుతుంది అనొచ్చు, నిర్వహించబడుతుంది. సారీ మీద నుంచి కింది కాదు. పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ప్రకారము పవర్ అనేది కింది నుంచి మీదికి పోతుంది, మీదికి ప్రాకుతుంది. కానీ ఇదివరకు చెప్పినట్లే, ఇదివరకు మనం అనలైజ్ చేసినట్టు ఈ వ్యక్తి శ్రేయవాద సిద్ధాంతంలో, తర్వాత సామాజిక మన మార్క్సిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతంలో పవర్ మీద నుంచి సామాన్యంగా కిందికి వస్తుంది. సో ఆ విధానాన్ని అంటే మార్క్సిస్టు కాన్సెప్ట్ పవర్ ఏ విధంగా నిర్వహించబడుతుంది, పవర్ ఏ విధంగా ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేయబడుతుంది అనే దాన్ని వీళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు ధిక్కరిస్తారు, రిజెక్ట్ చేస్తారు. వాళ్ళ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ప్రకారం పవర్ ఈజ్ బాటమ్ అప్ ప్రాసెస్, కింది నుంచి మీదికి పోయే ప్రక్రియ అని వీళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ అంటారు. దీన్ని ఇంగ్లీష్లో బాటమ్ అప్, మైక్రో లెవెల్ టు మ్యాక్రో లెవెల్ ప్రక్రియ అనేదిగా వీళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ చూస్తారు. అదేవిధంగా పవర్ అనేది వ్యక్తిశ్రేయవాదులు కానీ మార్క్సిస్టులు కానీ ఒక నెగటివ్ అంశంగా, నెగటివ్ లక్ష్యము, నెగటివ్ స్వభావం ఉన్నదానిగా, తర్వాత నిరర్ధకమైనదిగా, అసలు పవర్ అనేది అసలు యూస్లెస్ అనే విషయం నెగటివ్గా చూడబడింది అన్నట్టు. దాన్ని నశింపజేయాలా, దాన్ని తీసివేయాలా, సమాజం నుంచి తీసివేయాలా అనే విధంగా భావిస్తారు. సో ఇన్ ద ఐస్ ఆఫ్ లిబరల్ డెమోక్రాట్స్ థింకర్స్ అండ్ మార్క్సిస్ట్ థింకర్స్, పవర్ ఈజ్ కన్సిడర్డ్ యాజ్ ఎ నెగటివ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్, నెగటివ్ ఐడెంటిటీ, నెగటివ్ నేచర్. పవర్ అనేది ప్రొడక్టివ్ కాదు, సంవర్ధకం కాదు, అభివృద్ధిదాయకం కాదు అని కూడా ఈ లిబరల్ డెమోక్రాట్స్ తర్వాత మార్క్సిస్ట్ భావించారు. అయితే దీనికి నెగటివిటీ అనేది, ఈ డిస్ట్రక్టివ్ అనేది, అదేవిధంగా మనము పవర్ అనేది ఒక సప్రెసివ్ కూడా అని అంటారు చూడండి. ఉదారవాద సిద్ధాంతం డెమోక్రాట్స్ కానీ పవర్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో సప్రెసివ్ అని అంటారు. అది అణిచివేయు అంశము, అణిచివేసే ప్రక్రియ కలిగి ఉంటుందని మనం తెలుసుకున్నాం. అయితే వీటన్నిటినీ, ఈ పవర్ని ఇదివరకు సిద్ధాంతకర్తలు, మోడర్నిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతకర్తలు దాన్ని ఎదుర్కొని పవర్ఫుల్ కావాలా, మన సామర్థ్యం కావాలా, స్వేచ్ఛగా ఉండాలా అని ఆ పవర్ని రెసిస్ట్ చేసే వ్యక్తులు, సమూహాలు భావిస్తాయన్నట్టు. అంటే పవర్ అనేది నిజానికి మొత్తం మీద ఒక నెగటివ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ అని ఈ మార్క్సిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతం తర్వాత ఈ ఉదారవాద డెమోక్రాటిక్ సిద్ధాంతం భావించారు. దీనికి వ్యతిరేకంగా పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు, ఆధునికానంతరవాదులు పవర్ని ఒక కొత్త విధంగా, కొత్త పద్ధతిలో వాళ్ళు చూశారు. ఒక కొత్త దృక్పథాన్ని ఏర్పరచుకున్నారు. అది కొత్త దృక్పథాన్ని వాళ్ళు తమ యొక్క రచనలో, సిద్ధాంతంలో చూశారు. అయితే వాళ్ళ దృష్టిలో పవర్ అనేది ఒక సంవర్ధక అంశము. పవర్ అనేది ఒక అంటే పాజిటివ్, పవర్ అనేది పాజిటివ్ లక్షణాలు కలిగి ఉంటుంది, సంవర్ధక స్వభావం కలిగి ఉంటుంది. మనుషుల మధ్య విభేదాలు చూడడమే కాకుండా మనుషులను ఐక్యపరిచే విధంగా, మనుషులలో అభివృద్ధి, సమర్థకమైన ప్రవర్తనను రూపొందించే విధంగా కూడా పవర్ ఉపయోగపడుతుంది అని వాళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు భావిస్తారు అన్నట్టు. ఇది నిజానికి పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు మార్క్సిజంని, అంటే మార్క్సిజం తెలుసు కదా మీకు, వాళ్ళు మార్క్సిజం సామాన్యంగా సమాజంలో కాంట్రాడిక్షన్, వ్యతిరేకత అనే అంశాన్ని బాగా ప్రాధాన్యంగా చూసి ఆ కాంట్రడిక్షన్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నదో ఆ కాంట్రడిక్షన్ రిజాల్వ్ చేసే విధంగా వాళ్ళు వాళ్ళ యొక్క మన ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ను ప్రపోజ్ చేస్తారు. ఉదాహరణకి ఉన్న వర్గం లేని వర్గం, ఉన్న వర్గానికి వ్యతిరేకంగా ఉన్న వర్గం చిన్నదైనా కూడా వాళ్ళ ఆర్థిక అంశాలపై వాళ్ళు పట్టు సాధించి వాళ్ళ యొక్క పవర్ను ఉపయోగిస్తారు. లేని వాళ్ళను వాళ్ళు ఎక్కువ ఉన్నా కూడా వాళ్ళ మీద అధికారం చెలాయిస్తారు. ముఖ్యంగా రాజ్యం ద్వారా, రాజ్యానికి ఉన్న సైన్యం ద్వారా వాళ్ళ యొక్క అధికారాన్ని చెలాయిస్తారు. కాబట్టి చిన్న లేని వర్గంలో లేని వర్గానికి కూడా స్వేచ్ఛా స్వాతంత్రం, నిజమైన స్వేచ్ఛా స్వాతంత్రం వాళ్ళు కలిగించాలంటే ఈ వాళ్ళ మధ్య ఆర్థిక అంశం మీద ఆధారపడిన ఏదైతే వైరుధ్యత కాంట్రడిక్షన్ ఉందో దాన్ని తీసేయాలా, దాన్ని రిజాల్వ్ చేయడమే వాళ్ళ మార్క్సిస్టుల యొక్క ముఖ్య లక్ష్యం, మార్క్సిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతం యొక్క ముఖ్య లక్ష్యం. అదేవిధంగా particularly poor peasants and workers should come together, and workers of the world unite, and then you don't have anything to lose but your clutches and slavery అనే విధంగా మార్క్సిస్టు చేస్తారో వాళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు నిజానికి ప్రాధాన్యత ఇవ్వాలి, దాన్ని వ్యతిరేకించారు కూడా. వాళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిజంలో అసలు మార్క్సిజము మార్క్స్ సిద్ధాంతం ఏదైతే ఉందో దాన్ని వయబుల్ కూడా కాదని ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు భావిస్తారు. అంటే దాని అర్థం మార్క్సిజం యొక్క బేసిక్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, ఇది మెటీరియలిజము అంటే భౌతికవాదము, వాటి తోలికి పోలేదు. కానీ ఈ మార్క్సిజం ముఖ్యంగా ఏదైతే కాంట్రడిక్షన్, సమాజంలో కాంట్రడిక్షన్, వైరుధ్యత అనేది ఎట్లా వస్తుందంటే ముఖ్యంగా ఆర్థిక వైరుధ్యము, అంటే హ్యావ్స్ అండ్ హ్యావ్ నాట్స్ వీళ్ళ మధ్య వైరుధ్యం వల్ల సమాజంలో మన అణచివేత ఉంటుంది, సప్రెషన్ ఉంటుంది, ఎక్స్‌ప్లాయిటేషన్ ఉంటుందని వాళ్ళు భావిస్తారు. అయితే ఆ వైరుధ్యతను, ఆ పూర్తిగా వైరుధ్యతను నిర్మూలించడంలో పవర్ ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేయబడుతుంది అనేది ఒక పవర్ ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేయబడుతుంది. అంటే ఒక నెగిటివ్ క్యారెక్టర్ అనేది వాళ్ళు పవర్కి, అధికారానికి వాళ్ళు ఆపాదించాలని మార్క్సిస్టు, లిబరల్ డెమోక్రాట్స్. కానీ వీళ్ళు పవర్కి ఒక పాజిటివ్ లక్షణం కూడా ఉంటుంది అని ఈ మన పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టు వాళ్ళు భావించారు, సిద్ధాంతీకరించారు. సో పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ఇంకా ఏమంటారంటే ఒక సాంఘిక వాస్తవం, అంటే సోషల్ ఎగ్జిస్టెన్స్, సోషల్ ఐడెంటిటీ అనేది ఒకటి రెండు విధాలుగానే స్థానాల్లోనే ఉండదు అని అంటారు. అంటే సమాజంలో అనేక అస్తిత్వాలు, అసలు సమాజంలో అనేక వాస్తవికతలు, అంటే అనేక రియాలిటీస్, మల్టిపుల్ రియాలిటీస్ ఉంటాయి, మల్టిపుల్ సోషల్ రియాలిటీస్ ఉంటాయి, మల్టిపుల్ సోషల్ ఐడెంటిటీస్ ఉంటాయి అని పర్టికులర్గా వీళ్ళు భావిస్తారు. మార్క్సిస్టు ఉదాహరణకి వర్గం ఒకటే వర్గం, రెండు వర్గాలు, ఉన్న వర్గము లేని వర్గము ఉదాహరణకి. కానీ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ ఏమిటంటే సమాజంలో ఒకటే స్ట్రక్చర్, ఆ స్ట్రక్చర్లో ఒకటి రెండు స్ట్రక్చర్స్, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మార్క్సిజంలో అప్పర్ క్లాస్, లోయర్ క్లాస్ అని రెండుగా మాత్రమే వాళ్ళ మధ్య వైరుధ్యం ఉంటుంది. దాన్ని ఆ వైరుధ్యం లేకుండా చేసి, రిజాల్వ్ చేసి ఒకే స్వభావం గల, ఐక్యత గల యూనిఫామ్ స్ట్రక్చర్ని ఏర్పరచాలని వాళ్ళు అంటారు మార్క్సిస్టులు. కానీ వీళ్ళు ఏమంటారంటే నిజానికి ఆ విధంగా ఉండదు. తర్వాత అందులో ఉన్నా కూడా అందులో మార్పు అనేది, మనము మార్పు గురించి ఆలోచించకూడదు. నిజానికి సమాజంలో ఒకటి దానికి భిన్నంగా ఉండొచ్చు, కానీ సమాజంలో ఉన్న అనేక వాస్తవికతలు, అనేక సామాజిక అస్తిత్వాలు ఒకదానికి వ్యతిరేకమైన ఉండనక్కర్లేదు అని అంటారు. ఉదాహరణకి ఫెమినిస్ట్ మన సమాజంలో స్త్రీవాదులు ఉంటారు, స్త్రీవాద సంఘాలు ఉంటాయి. సమాజంలో మన ప్రత్యేక ఎడ్యుకేషన్ రంగంలో ఉపాధ్యాయ సంఘాలు ఉంటాయి, ఉపాధ్యాయ వృత్తి సంఘాలు ఉంటాయి. సమాజంలో వృత్తి మన ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ వీవర్స్ అసోసియేషన్స్ ఉంటాయి. సమాజంలో మన బ్లాక్స్ అండ్ వైట్స్ ఉంటాయి. అయితే వీటన్నిటి యొక్క అస్తిత్వాలకి ఒక్కొక్క స్వభావం ఉంటుంది, అస్తిత్వం ఉంటుంది. అస్తిత్వానికి సంబంధించిన రాజకీయ విషయాలు, రాజకీయ అంశాలు, రాజకీయ డిమాండ్స్, మన అవసరాలు ఉంటాయి. సో ఆ అవసరాలేంటి ఒకటికి వైరుధ్యంగా ఉండకుండా విభిన్నంగా ఉంటాయి. అదేవిధంగా పవర్ అనేది వీటన్నిటిలో మధ్య సంబంధాలు కానీ, ఈ అన్నిటి లోపల సంబంధాలు కానీ, సంబంధాల్లో పవర్ను మనం చూడవలసి ఉంటుంది, అధికారాన్ని మనం చూడవలసి ఉంది. కానీ ఒక మీదనో లేకపోతే కిందనో, మీద ఒక వ్యక్తిలోనో ఒక వ్యవస్థలోనో పవర్ ఉంటుందని భావించకూడదు. అయితే మార్క్సిస్టులు, మన పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టులు ఈ విధంగా సమాజాన్ని ఒక ప్లూరలిస్ట్ సమాజము, అంటే పూర్వపు లాస్కి, హెరాల్డ్ లాస్కి అటువంటి వాళ్ళు కూడా ప్లూరలిస్ట్గా భావించబడతారు, ప్లూరలిస్ట్ సిద్ధాంతంగా వాదించబడతారు. కానీ అట్లా కాదు అనుకోండి. కానీ ఆ విధంగా అనిపిస్తుంది అన్నట్టు. ఏది సమాజంలో మన అనేక స్థానాల్లో, పర్టికులర్గా కింది స్థాయిలో అనేక అస్తిత్వాలు, అనేక వాస్తవాలు ఉంటాయి. కాబట్టి ఆ వాస్తవం యొక్క స్వభావాలను, వాస్తవాలను ఒకటి ఇది మన వైరుధ్యంగా ఉన్నట్టు భావించకుండా విభిన్నంగా చూడాల్సి ఉంటుంది. అంటే డైవర్సిటీ, ఎగ్జిస్టెన్స్ ఆఫ్ డైవర్సిటీ. సో ఈ డైవర్సిటీ అనేది మనము ఈ ముఖ్యంగా పరిగణనలోకి తీసుకోవాలా అని పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్ట్ థింకర్స్ అంటారు. ముఖ్యంగా ఇందులో రాజకీయ రంగాలను చూస్తే స్త్రీవాద స్వేచ్ఛకి, స్త్రీని వెనుకబాటుతనానికి వ్యతిరేకంగా స్త్రీలు కొట్లాడుతూనే ఉంటారు. వాళ్ళు ఇంకొకరి మన నియంత్రణలోనికి రానక్కర్లేదు, ఇంకొక నాయకత్వంలోకి రానక్కర్లేదు. వాళ్ళు స్వయంగా వాళ్ళే ఆర్గనైజేషన్ ఏర్పరచుకొని వాళ్ళ యొక్క అవసరాలు తీర్చుకోవచ్చు, వాళ్ళ యొక్క సౌకర్యాలను మనము పొందొచ్చు. అదేవిధంగా వాళ్ళు స్వతంత్రంగా ఐడెంటిటీని కలిగి ఉంటాయి. తర్వాత ఆ విధంగా ఉండడం అనేది ఒక స్వభావమైనది అని. అదేవిధంగా బ్లాక్స్, అదేవిధంగా మన ఇతర సామాజిక సంఘాలు, రాజకీయ సంఘాలు అని కూడా మనం అనుకోవచ్చు. సో ఒక్కొక్కరు వాళ్ళ యొక్క అవసరాల కొరకు, అవి స్త్రీపరమైనవి కానీ, యువకుల పరమైనవి కానీ, తర్వాత వృత్తిపరమైన కానీ, అదేవిధంగా మనము ఆర్ట్, తర్వాత ఇతర ఫ్యాకల్టీస్ ఉంటాయో వాటి పరంగా కానీ ఏర్పడ్డ సంఘాలు కానీ, వ్యవస్థలు కానీ వాటి యొక్క అవసరాలను తీర్చుకోవడానికి ఎగ్జిస్ట్ అవుతాయి. వాటి అవసరాలను తీర్చుకోవడానికి పోరాటము చేయాలి అనేది వాళ్ళు ఈ పోస్ట్ మోడర్నిస్టులు సిద్ధాంతీకరించారు, ప్రతిపాదించారు అని చెప్పచ్చు. సో ఈ విధంగా పోస్ట్ మోడర్న్ థింకర్స్ ముఖ్యంగా ఇదివరకు ఉన్న ఆధునికత అని ఆధునికమైనవిగా చెప్పబడ్డ సిద్ధాంతాలు ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, లిబరల్ డెమోక్రసీ, మార్క్సిస్ట్ డెమోక్రసీ, తర్వాత ఇంకా దానికి సంబంధించిన ఇతర సిద్ధాంతాలను వీళ్ళు వ్యతిరేకించి కొత్త ప్రతిపాదనలు చేశారు. అది మనం ఇంకా కొన్ని విషయాలు వచ్చే లెక్చర్స్ సెషన్లో మనం అది చేసుకోవచ్చు. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Good afternoon. আজি এই BPSC 131 ইন্ট্ৰডাকশ্যন টু পলিটিকেল থিয়ৰীৰ আমি ইউনিট 4 মানে ইকুৱেলিটি অৰ্থাৎ অসমীয়াত সমতাৰ বিষয়ে আলোচনা কৰিব গৈ আছোঁ। মই অনিৰুদ্ধ কুমাৰ বড়ো আৰু লগতে আমি প্ৰথমতে গম পাম যে এই ইউনিটটোত বা সমতাৰ বিষয়ে যেতিয়া আমি আলোচনা কৰোঁতে কি আমি বস্তুৰ ওপৰত আলোচনা কৰিম। প্ৰথমতে আমি আলোচনা কৰিম সমতাৰ ধাৰণা, সমতা কি হয়, এটা আমি কেনেকৈ বুজো, আৰু দ্বিতীয়তে আমি বুজিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিম সমতাৰ কিছুমান মৌলিক নীতি, কি মৌলিক নীতি আছে, ফাণ্ডামেণ্টেল কিছুমান প্ৰিন্সিপল আছে, সেইবোৰ কি হয়। তৃতীয়তে আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা, সুযোগৰ সমতা আৰু ফলাফলৰ সমতাৰ মাজত ব্যাখ্যা, আৰু চতুৰ্থতে কিছুমান সমতাবাদ বিৰোধী স্থিতি, পঞ্চমত বৈষম্যৰ উদাৰ ন্যায্যতা, আৰু শেষলৈকে আমি সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতাৰ মাজত কি সম্পৰ্ক আছে সেই বিষয়ে আমি আলোচনা কৰিম। এতিয়া প্ৰথমতে আমি বুজিব লাগিব যে যিটো আমাৰ সমতা আছে, সমতাৰ ধাৰণা বা ইকুৱেলিটি যিটো হয়, এইটো এতিয়া আধুনিক ৰাজনীতিক আৰু ৰাজনীতিৰ চিন্তাৰ কেন্দ্ৰীয় চিন্তা। আজি আমি সকলোৱে জানো যে আমি সমতা আমি সকলোৱে বিচাৰোঁ, আৰু এতিয়া এইটো হৈছে আমাৰ মৌলিক এটা বস্তু। সমতা আমি সকলোৱে বিচাৰোঁ, সৰুৰ পৰা আমি সমানে ট্ৰিট কৰা যাক, আমি আগলৈকে গ'লেও আমাক যেন সকলোৱে জাতি ধৰ্ম নিৰ্বিশেষে আমাক বা আমাৰ জেণ্ডাৰ সকলো বাদ দি আমাক সমান হিচাপে ট্ৰিট কৰে, সেইটো আমি বিচাৰোঁ। চ' সেইটো এতিয়া বৰ্তমানৰ এতিয়া ডাঙৰ এটা মৌলিক এটা প্ৰিন্সিপল হয়। আৰু এই যি আমাৰ আগতে অসমানতা আছিলে বা যিটো আমাৰ সমতা নহয় অসমতা যিটো আছিলে, সেইটো জন্মৰ ওপৰত আধাৰ কৰি হৈছিলে। আৰু আগতে কি হৈছিলে, আগতে সেইটো আমি প্ৰাকৃতিক বুলি ভাবি লৈছিলোঁ। মানে আগতে মানুহবিলাকে যেতিয়া আমাৰ সমতাৰ কথা অহা নাছিলে, তেতিয়া মানুহবিলাকে ভাবিছিলে যে জন্মৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি মানুহবোৰ সমানতা নাথাকিবই, কোনোবা ধনী হৈছে, কোনোবা দুখীয়া হৈ জন্ম লৈছে, কিছুমানে পুৰুষ হৈ জন্ম লৈছে, কিছুমান নাৰী হৈ জন্ম লৈছে। চ' সেইকাৰণে অসমতা থকাটো এইটো প্ৰাকৃতিক বুলি ধৰা হৈছিলে। আৰু কিন্তু এই আধুনিক যিটো ৰাজনৈতিক চিন্তাধাৰা, এই ধাৰণাৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ হয় আৰু সকলো মানুহ সমান বুলি তেওঁলোকে কয়। তেওঁলোকে এই যিটো আগৰ কথা আছিলে যে জন্মৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি যে অসমানতা হ'ব লাগে, সেইটো তেওঁলোকে নকয়। তেওঁলোকে কৈছিলে যে সকলো মানুহক সমান হিচাপে ধৰিব লাগিব। আৰু তাৰে এটা উদাহৰণ হিচাপে, আৰু সেই কথাটো বিশেষকৈ আৰম্ভ হৈছিলে যেতিয়া 1789ত ফৰাচী বিপ্লৱ বা ফ্ৰেঞ্চ ৰিভলিউচন হৈছিলে, আৰু তাৰপিছত যেতিয়া আমেৰিকাৰ গৃহযুদ্ধ মানে আমেৰিকান চিভিল ৱাৰ হৈছিলে, আৰু এইবিলাকৰ দ্বাৰা আমাৰ গণতন্ত্ৰ, ডেমক্ৰেচি, সমতা মানে আমি ইকুৱেলিটি আৰু স্বাধীনতাৰ এইটো গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ স্থান পালে। আৰু যদি আমি মধ্যযুগলৈকে চাওঁ, মধ্যযুগত এই সমানতাৰ বস্তুবোৰ নাছিলে, আৰু তাতে বহুত অসমানতা আছিলে। সেইকাৰণে এই মধ্যযুগৰ যিবোৰ আইডিয়া আছিলে সেইবোৰক প্ৰত্যাহ্বান জনোৱা হৈছিলে। আৰু কিন্তু সেই সময়ত কি আছিলে যে সমতাৰ যিবোৰ ধাৰণা আছিলে সেইটো গ্ৰহণ কৰাটো ইমান সহজ নাছিলে, বহুত কঠিন বস্তু আছিলে। বিকজ তাতে অলৰেডি অসমানতা আছিলে, আৰু তাক আগত এটা চেলেঞ্জ হিচাপে আছিলে যে সমতা কেনেকৈ অনা যাব। আৰু যদি আমি চাওঁ 1931 চনত লিখা R.H. টাউনীয়ে তেতিয়াৰ দিনৰ ব্ৰিটিছ সমাজখনকো বৈষম্যৰ ধৰ্ম বুলি বৰ্ণনা কৰি দুখ প্ৰকাশ কৰিছিল। অকল আমাৰ পিছপৰা দেশতেই এই সমতাৰ প্ৰব্লেম নাই, যে যিবোৰ ডেভেলপ বা উন্নত দেশ আছে, ধৰক ব্ৰিটিছ সমাজতো আগতে ধনীবিলাকে বেছি সন্মান পাইছিলে, ধনীবিলাকে বেছি অপৰচুনিটি পাইছিলে, দুখীয়াবিলাকে হিচাপে পোৱা নাছিলে। ধৰক ভোট দিবৰ কাৰণে অকল ধনীবিলাকে চান্স পাইছিলে, দুখীয়াবিলাকে চান্স পোৱা নাছিলে। আমি যদি আজিৰ পৰিপ্ৰেক্ষিতত চাওঁ, মানৱ জীৱন সংগঠিত কৰাৰ এক অতি গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ নীতি হিচাপে সমতা গ্ৰহণ কৰা হৈছে। যদি মানৱ হিচাপে হ'ব লাগে, মানুহে জীৱনটোত যদি উন্নতি কৰিব লাগে, তেনেহ'লে সমতা থাকিব লাগিব। যদি সমতা নাথাকে, তেনেহ'লে মানুহে জীৱনত আগবাঢ়ি যোৱাত বহুত কঠিন হয়। আৰু কিন্তু ইয়াতো বহুত কথা আছে যে সমতা ক'ত কেনেকৈ তাক প্ৰয়োগ কৰা হ'ব, তাৰ ওপৰত বহুত যুদ্ধ, বহুত তৰ্ক বিতৰ্ক এতিয়া হৈ আছে। তাৰ ভিতৰত কিছুমানে কৈছে যে সমতা এনেকুৱা ধৰণে হ'ব লাগিব, সমতা বেলেগ ধৰণে হ'ব লাগিব। সমতা কি হয় তাৰ মাজত বহুত ডিবেট হৈছে, বহুত তৰ্ক বিতৰ্ক এতিয়াও চলি আছে বা আগৰ পৰাও এইটো চলি আছে। এতিয়া সেই সমতাৰ এই তৰ্ক বিতৰ্কৰ মাজত যদি আমি সোমাওঁ, তেনেহ'লে আমি দেখোঁ তাত বিভিন্ন প্ৰকাৰৰ ক্ষমতা আছে। আৰু সেই প্ৰথম সমতাটোৱে হৈছে আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা। আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা হৈছে কি, যে য'ত আমি সকলো মানুহক সমান হিচাপে ধৰি লওঁ। তাৰ ভিতৰত জন লক, যিজন ইংলিছ ফিলচফাৰ আছিলে, ইংৰাজ দাৰ্শনিক আছিলে, চ' তেওঁ যিটো সমতাৰ ওপৰত যিটো ধাৰণা দিছিলে, আৰু সেই তেওঁ ধাৰণা যি দিছিলে যে সমতা মানে সকলোৱে সমান হিচাপে হ'ব লাগিব, আৰু সেইটো তেওঁ এতিয়াও সেই সমতা ৰখাৰ বহুতৰ ভিতৰত তেওঁ এজন হৈ আছে। এতিয়াও যেতিয়া আমি পঢ়ো সমতাৰ বিষয়ে, জন লকক আমি নপঢ়াকৈ কেতিয়াও আমি আগবাঢ়িব নোৱাৰো। সেই হিচাপে ইমানুৱেল কাণ্টেও এই সাৰ্বজনীন মানৱতাৰ ফলস্বৰূপে সাৰ্বজনীন আৰু সমতাৰ বিষয়ে কথা পাতি যিটো লকে অলৰেডি কৈছে, সেইটোক তেওঁ অধিক শক্তিশালী কৰিছে। কাণ্টে কৈছিলে যে হয়, সকলোকে আমি সমান হিচাপে ধৰিব লাগিব। সমান হিচাপে আমি যদি নধৰো তেনেহলে উন্নতি কেতিয়াও নহয়। সেইকাৰণে এই সমানতাটো এইটো আনুষ্ঠানিক সমানতা হ'ব লাগিব, সমতা হ'ব লাগিব। আৰু আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতাই কি বুজায়, যদি আমি ভালকৈ বুজিব চাওঁ, আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতাই বুজায় যে সকলো ব্যক্তিক সমানভাৱে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰা উচিত, সকলোকে সমানভাৱে ৰেচপেক্ট দিয়া উচিত, সকলোকে সমানভাৱে স্বীকৃতি দিয়া উচিত। চ' সমতা তেতিয়াহে হ'ব যেতিয়া আমি সকলোকে একে নিচিনাকৈ ভাবিম, নহ'লে এইটো সমতা হ'ব নোৱাৰে। এই ধাৰণাটো আটাইতকৈ গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ অভিব্যক্তি হৈছে আইনৰ সন্মুখত আইনী সমতা আৰু সমতাৰ নীতি। বেষ্ট এক্সাম্পল হৈছে যিহেতু এইটো আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা অনুষ্ঠান এটা দিয়া হয়, চ' সেইকাৰণে তাৰ ভিতৰত আমি চাব গ'লে এটা উদাহৰণ যদি লওঁ, সেইটো হৈছে আইনৰ সন্মুখত সমতা। আমি যিমান ধনী হ'লেও দুখীয়া হ'লেও আগত যোৱা বা পিছপৰা বা বিভিন্ন জাতি ধৰ্ম যি হ'লেও আমি যদি আইনৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত চাওঁ, আইনে সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে চায়, তাতে কোনো ভেদভাৱ নকৰে, আৰু সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে লৈ কোনোবাই যদি ক্ৰাইম কৰিলে তেওঁক ধনীটোক অকণমান কম পানিছমেণ্ট দিওঁ, দুখীয়াটোক অকণমান বেছি পানিছমেণ্ট দিওঁ, সেই হিচাপে একো এনেকুৱা নিয়ম নাই। আৰু সেই হিচাপত আইনে সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে চাব, আৰু তাকেই আমি এটা ভাল উদাহৰণ বুলি আমি ধৰিব পাৰোঁ আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা। আৰু এই নীতিয়ে এই সত্যটো উপেক্ষা কৰে যে জাতি, লিংগ আৰু সামাজিক পৃষ্ঠভূমিৰ দ্বাৰা আৰোপ আৰু প্ৰতিবন্ধকতাই আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতাক বাধা দিব পাৰে। আনুষ্ঠানিক যিটো সমতা আছে, তাক কোনো ধৰণৰ জাতি হওক, কোনো ধৰণৰ লিংগ হওক বা সামাজিক পৃষ্ঠভূমি, মানে যিখন সমাজৰ আগপৰা শ্ৰেণীৰ হওক, পিছপৰা শ্ৰেণীৰ হওক, বা আমাৰ বিশেষকৈ আমি যদি ভাৰতত চাওঁ, ভাৰতত বহুত ধৰণৰ কাষ্ট আছে, বহুত ধৰণৰ আমাৰ জাতি আছে, বহুত ধৰণৰ আমাৰ সামাজিক ব্যৱস্থা আছে, য'ত কিছুমান পিছপৰা, কিছুমান আগত, আৰু অৰ্থনৈতিক হিচাপেও কিছুমান আগবঢ়া আছে, কিছুমান পিছপৰা আছে অৰ্থনৈতিকভাৱে। সেইবোৰত এই ফৰ্মেল যিটো মানে আনুষ্ঠানিক যিটো সমতা আছে, সেই আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতাৰ ওপৰত যে কেতিয়াও বাধা হ'ব নোৱাৰে। আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা এইটো চাব যে লিংগ হওক বা বিভিন্ন লিংগৰ হওক বা বিভিন্ন জাতিৰ হওক বা যি সমাজৰ পৰা নহওক, ধনী হওক দুখীয়া হওক, সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে জ্ঞান কৰা। আৰু কিন্তু কাৰ্ল মাৰ্ক্সে তেওঁৰ লিখনত কিন্তু অকণ বেলেগকে কৰিছিলে, আৰু তেওঁ এই সমতাৰ ওপৰত তেওঁ প্ৰশ্ন কৰিছিলে। তেওঁ কৈছিলে যদি সকলোকে যদি আমি সমান হিচাপে চাওঁ, কিন্তু সমাজত অলৰেডি অসমানতা আছে, যিহেতু অলৰেডি কৈছো যে জাতিৰ ওপৰত কিছুমান আগবঢ়া, কিছুমান পিছপৰা, কিছুমান লিংগৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত মহিলা অকণ পিছপৰা, তেওঁলোকে সমাজত তেওঁলোকক ডমিনেট কৰি ৰখা হয়, বা পুৰুষ হিচাপে আগবঢ়া। আৰু সেইকাৰণে মাৰ্ক্সে যিটো তেওঁ আছিলে কোৱেশ্চনছ অন দ্য ইহুদিছ, সেইটোৰ ওপৰত তেওঁ যিখন লিখনি লিখিছিলে, তেওঁ প্ৰশ্ন উত্থাপন কৰিছিলে যে এই যিটো আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা, সেইটো আচলতে আচল সমতা আনিব নোৱাৰে। আজিৰ দিনত যদি চাওঁ, এই সমতাবাদীসকলে কি কৰে, এইটো ধাৰণাৰ পৰা অকণমান আঁতৰি গৈছে, আৰু এইটো তেওঁলোকে কয় যে সকলো মানুহ সমানে সৃষ্টি কৰা হয়, আৰু সেয়ে সমান অধিকাৰ থাকিব লাগিব। এইটোৰ পৰা যিটো কথা আছে যে সকলো মানুহ সমান হয় আৰু সমান হিচাপে থাকিব লাগিব, এইটো কথাৰ পৰা অকণমান পিছ পৰি বা এইটো পাঠৰ পৰা ফালৰি কাটি এখন বেলেগ ধৰণে কথা ক'ব কৈছে আজিকালিৰ সমতাবাদীসকলে। তেওঁলোকে কৈছে যে আমি সকলোকে যদি সমান হিচাপে চাওঁ, তথাপিও সেইটো এটা অসমানতা হয়, আৰু সেইকাৰণে কি হয়, আমি সকলোকে এখন বেলেগ বেলেগ ধৰণে চাব লাগিব, কাৰণ মানুহ কেতিয়াও সমান নহয়। আমাৰ কিছুমান কথাত কৈ যে আমাৰ 5টা আঙুলি একে সমান নহয়, সেই হিচাপে মানুহৰ সকলোৰে মাজত ডিফাৰেঞ্চেছ থাকে, আৰু সেইকাৰণে সমান যিহেতু নহয়, সেইকাৰণে সকলোকে যদি আমি সমান হিচাপে লওঁ তেনেহ'লে এইটো আচলতে সমতা নহয়, এইটো অসমতাহে পিছলৈকে আনিব বুলি এতিয়াৰ দিনৰ সমতাবাদীসকলে কয়। দ্বিতীয়টো হৈছে সুযোগৰ সমতা। সুযোগৰ সমতাৰ অৰ্থই হৈছে যে সুযোগ দিয়া হ'ব সকলোকে নিজৰ আত্মবিকাশ কৰিবৰ কাৰণে, আৰু যিবোৰ বাধা আহে, বাধাবোৰ আঁতৰাই দিয়া হ'ব, সুযোগ দিয়া হ'ব। যাৰ যেনেকৈ যিমান যাৰ কেৰিয়াৰ গঢ়িবৰ কাৰণে যাৰ যিমান মেৰিট আছে সেই হিচাপে সুবিধা সকলোকে কৰি দিয়া হ'ব, আৰু সেই সুবিধা কৰি দিয়াৰ লগে লগে কি হয়, সকলোবোৰ আগবাঢ়ি যাব। যিবোৰ মানে বাধা আহে, ধৰক কোনোবাই কেৰিয়াৰত আগবাঢ়িবৰ কাৰণে বা কোনোবাই নিজৰ যিটো আত্মপ্ৰকাশ কৰিবৰ কাৰণে বা আত্মবিকাশ কৰিবৰ কাৰণে যিবোৰ তেওঁ কৰিব লগা আছে, সেইবোৰত যেন বাধা নপৰে, সেইটোৰ কাৰণে যি সুযোগৰ সমতা আছে, সেই তেওঁলোকে এই হিচাপে কয় যে ইয়াতে কোনো ধৰণৰ বাধা আহিব নালাগে, সুযোগ দিব লাগিব। তো ইয়াৰ অৰ্থই হৈছে যে যিটো কেৰিয়াৰ প্ৰতিভাৰ বাবে মুকলি হ'ব লাগে আৰু পদোন্নতি সামৰ্থ্যৰ ওপৰত আধাৰিত হ'ব লাগে। কেৰিয়াৰ কি হ'ব লাগে, প্ৰতিভাৰ ওপৰত পাব লাগে। যদি মোৰ প্ৰতিভা আছে, যদি মই ভাল পঢ়াইছোঁ মানে মই তেনেহ'লে শিক্ষক হ'ব লাগিব, এইটো কেৰিয়াৰটো প্ৰতিভাৰ ওপৰত হ'ব লাগে। আৰু পদোন্নতি মানে কেনেকৈ ডেভেলপ হ'ব লাগিব, পদোন্নতি মানে সামৰ্থ্যৰ ওপৰত হ'ব লাগিব। যদি মই ভালকে পঢ়াই আৰু অলপ ভালকে বুজাব পাৰিছোঁ, তেনেহ'লে মোৰ আকৌ নেক্সট ষ্টেপত মই এতিয়া য'ত পঢ়াইছোঁ তাৰ পৰা আৰু অলপ ওপৰত যাব পাৰিব লাগিব। তাৰ মানে কি হৈছে, যিটো সুযোগ দিয়া হ'ব, কিন্তু সেই সুযোগটোৰ তাত প্ৰতিভা থাকিব লাগিব বা সামৰ্থ্য থাকিব লাগিব। এনেই সুযোগ সকলোকে দিয়া নহয়। তো তাতে স্থিতি বা পাৰিবাৰিক সংযোগ বা সামাজিক পৃষ্ঠভূমি বাৰু অন্যান্য একে ধৰণৰ কাৰকবোৰে হস্তক্ষেপ কৰিবলৈ অনুমতি দিব নালাগে। কাৰোবাৰ এই সুযোগ দিওঁতে কোনোবাই ধৰক স্থিতি, কোনোবাই ষ্টেটাছ আছে, ভাল ষ্টেটাছ হয়, কোনোবা ধনী মানুহ হয়, কোনোবাৰ পাৱাৰ আছে, তাক সুযোগ দিয়া হ'ব নালাগে, দিব নালাগিব। বা পাৰিবাৰিক সংযোগ আছে, কোনোবা এজন ধৰক চাকৰি বিচাৰি গৈছে, চাকৰি বিচাৰিব যাওঁতে কাৰোবাৰ পৰিয়াল মিনিষ্টাৰ এজনৰ লগত চিনাকি আছে, তেওঁক সেইটো দিব নালাগিব। সেইটো সমতা নহয় বা সেইটো সুযোগ নহয়। আচলতে সুযোগ হয় ফিল্ডখন বনাই দিয়া, বাধাটো আঁতৰাই দিয়া, কাৰো প্ৰিফাৰেঞ্চ দি কাকো সেই হিচাপে কেৰিয়াৰ গঢ়িবৰ কাৰণে দিব নালাগিব। আৰু যিবোৰ কাৰণেই নহওক, এইবোৰে যেন ইয়াতে হস্তক্ষেপ কৰিব নালাগিব, নহ'লে সেইটো সমতা নহয়, আকৌ সেইটো অসমতা হ'বগৈ। কাৰণ আমাৰ অৰ্থনৈতিক, ৰাজনীতিক বা যিকোনো বস্তুবোৰ সকলো সদায় যাৰ পাৱাৰ আছে, পাৱাৰ থকাৰ হাততে থাকিবগৈ। পিছপৰাবোৰ পিছ পৰি থাকিব, আগত যিবোৰ আছে সেইবোৰ আগবাঢ়ি গৈ থাকিব। আৰু সুযোগৰ সমতা হৈছে এক অত্যন্ত আকৰ্ষণীয় ধাৰণা, যি জীৱনৰ আৰম্ভণি বিন্দু হিচাপে বৰ্ণনা কৰা বিষয়টোৰ সৈতে সম্পৰ্কিত। কৈছে যে আমি সুযোগৰ সমতাটো আমি সৰুৰ পৰা দিব লাগিব, যে সেই সৰুৰ পৰা দিলেহে আমি সেই সুযোগটো পাই আমি সকলোৱে নিজৰ আত্মবিকাশ কৰি নিজৰ বস্তুখিনি আগবঢ়াই মই সেইকাৰণে আগবাঢ়ি যাব পাৰিম। নহ'লে কি হ'ব, যদি সুযোগটো আকৌ সেই যিবোৰ যাৰ পাৰিবাৰিক সংযোগ আছে, যাৰ ষ্টেটাছ আছে, তাক যদি দিয়া হয়, তেনেহ'লে সেই অসমতা হ'বগৈ। সমতাৰ বাবে সকলো ব্যক্তিয়ে এক সমান খেলপথাৰৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ কৰিব লাগিব। ধৰক ৰেচ এখন খেলিছোঁ, 100 মিটাৰ ৰেচ খেলিছোঁ, এই ৰেচত সকলোৱে একেলগে থিয় হৈ যেতিয়া খেলিব, সেইটোকে আমি সমতাৰ সুযোগ বুলি কোৱা হয়। তাতে সুযোগবোৰ যদি কিবা আহে, অসুবিধা আহে, সেইবোৰ গুচাই দিয়া হ'ব, কিন্তু সকলোকে একে নিচিনাকে ধৰা হ'ব। অৱশ্যে ইয়াৰ পৰিণামবোৰ একেবাৰে সমতাবাদী হোৱাৰ প্ৰয়োজন নাই। এইটো সুযোগৰ সমতাই এইটোও কয় যে যদিও সকলোকে একে ঠাইৰ পৰা বা একে আমি দিছোঁ, আঁতৰাই দিছোঁ তেওঁলোকৰ যিবোৰ বাধা আছে, ইয়াৰ অৰ্থ এইটো নহয় যে সকলোৱে গৈ যিটো শেষত পাবগৈ সেইটো সমান হ'ব। চবে কিন্তু বেলেগ বেলেগ ধৰণৰহে বস্তু পাবগৈ। সকলোৱে সমানে আৰম্ভ কৰিছিল, অসম ফলাফলবোৰ স্বীকাৰ কৰা হয় আৰু বৈধ কৰা হয়। ইয়াৰ অৰ্থ যে ইয়াৰ মতে কোৱা হয় যে সকলোৱে সমানভাৱে আৰম্ভ কৰিছিল। প্ৰথমতে যেতিয়া আৰম্ভ কৰিছিল, সকলোৱে সমান হিচাপে আৰম্ভ কৰিছিলে, আৰু কিন্তু ফলাফল যিবোৰ হয় সেইটো অসমান হ'ব। কোনো একে ধৰণে ফলাফল নাপায়, বা যিটো ৰিজাল্ট হ'ব, ৰিজাল্টটো একে নহয়, আৰু সেইটো স্বীকাৰ কৰি লোৱা হয় যে ৰিজাল্টটো একে নহ'ব, আৰু ইয়াক বৈধতাও দিয়া হয়। ইয়াৰ কাৰণ হৈছে যে এয়া হৈছে প্ৰাকৃতিক প্ৰতিভা। কিছুমানৰ প্ৰাকৃতিক প্ৰতিভা থাকে, কোনোবাই ডান্স কৰি ভাল পায়, পাৰ্গত হয়, ক্ষেত্ৰত নাচি ভাল পায়। সেই সবকে সেই চান্সটো দিয়া হ'ব কিন্তু সবৰে লাষ্টত গৈ যিটো ৰিজাল্ট হ'ব সেইটো বেলেগ বেলেগ হ'ব কিছুমানৰ এনেকুৱা থাকে কিছুমানে কঠোৰ পৰিশ্ৰম কৰি ভাল পায় বা কৰিব পাৰে দুজন মানুহ একেলগে আছে বা পাঁচজন মানুহ একেলগে যদি আমি সেই সুযোগৰ সমতা দিলো কিন্তু কি হয় কিছুমান আগবাঢ়ি গ'ল কিছুমান পিছ পৰি গ'ল কাৰণ কিয় কিছুমানে কঠোৰ পৰিশ্ৰম কৰিব পাৰে কিছুমানে পৰিশ্ৰম কৰিব নোখোজে বা নোৱাৰে আৰু আনকি ইয়াৰ লগতে আৰু এটা কথা হয় ভাগ্যৰ কাৰণেও বৈষম্য হয় বহুতে ভাগ্যৰ কাৰণে বৈষম্য হয় কাৰণ কিছুমানে ভাগ্যৰ কাৰণে কিছুমান আগবাঢ়ি গ'ল কিছুমান ভাগ্যৰ কাৰণে কিছুমান পিছ পৰি গ'ল ধৰক পৰীক্ষাত কিছুমানে পাছ কৰিলে একে প্ৰশ্ন কটা হয় একে প্ৰশ্ন কটা কিছুমান পাছ কৰি গ'ল যিটো পঢ়ি আহিছিলে সেইটো আহিলে কিছুমানে ফেল কৰিলে যিটো পঢ়া নাছিলে সেইটো আহিলে সো সেই ভাগ্যৰ দ্বাৰাও আমি এই ক্ষেত্ৰত ফলাফলবোৰ কি হয় আমাৰ অসমান হয় তো সুযোগৰ সমতাই এনে এটা প্ৰণালীক প্ৰতিযোগিতা কৰাৰ সমান সুযোগ প্ৰদান কৰে যিটোৱে পদানুক্ৰমিক হৈ থাকে এইটো এটা সুযোগ দিয়ে যিটোৰ দ্বাৰা হৈ থাকিব এইটো প্ৰতিযোগিতাবোৰ হৈ থাকিব আৰু সেই হিচাপে সকলোবোৰ আগবঢ়াই গৈ থাকিব আৰু লগতে যিবোৰ বাধা আহিব বাধাবোৰ গুচাই দিব তো প্ৰতিভাৰ বাবে কেৰিয়াৰ মুকলি ৰখা উচিত সমান সুযোগ প্ৰদান কৰা আৰু ইতিবাচক বৈষম্যৰ নীতিত বহুতো তাৰতম্যৰ জৰিয়তে সুযোগৰ সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠাপিত কৰা হয় যাৰ প্ৰতিভা থাকে তাৰ কাৰণে কেৰিয়াৰ মুকলি ৰখা চৰকাৰে যদি ইকুৱেলিটিৰ কথা কয় ইয়াতে সমান সুযোগৰ কথা কয় তেনেহলে কি কৰিব লাগিব যিজন প্ৰতিভাৱান হয় তেওঁলোকৰ কাৰণে কেৰিয়াৰবোৰ মুকলি ৰাখিব লাগিব আৰু উচিত সমান সুযোগ প্ৰদান কৰা সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে উচিত সুযোগ দিব লাগিব আৰু লগতে ইয়াতে এটা কথা আহে এটা ইতিবাচক বৈষম্যৰ কথা আহে ইতিবাচক বৈষম্য মানে পজিটিভ ডিসক্ৰিমিনেশন বুলি ক'লে ইয়াত ধৰক আমাৰ ৰিজাৰ্ভেশ্যন কিছুমান পিছ পৰি থকা বিলাকক অকণ আমি পোছা অলপ আগবঢ়াই দিবৰ কাৰণে হয়তো ৰিজাৰ্ভেশ্যন চিষ্টেমটো দিয়া হয় সো ইয়াতে সেই সুবিধাখন কৰি দিয়া হয় কাৰণ এইটো এটা যদি কোনোবা কাষ্টৰ পিছপৰা ঠাইৰ পৰা আছে স্কুল ভাল পোৱা নাই তেওঁলোকে কি হয় সেইটো এটা বাধা সো সেই কাৰণে কি হয় ৰিজাৰ্ভেশ্যন চিষ্টেমটো তাতে আনি দিয়া হয় সো কিন্তু দেখা যায় ইয়াক বহুতে ক্ৰিটিসাইজ কৰিছে বহুতে সমালোচনা কৰিছে কি বুলি সমালোচনা কৰিছে যে ই এনেকুৱা এটা লোকৰ সৃষ্টি কৰিব যি কেৱল তেওঁলোকৰ প্ৰতিভা আৰু ব্যক্তিগত গুণাগুণৰ ওপৰত মনোনিৱেশ কৰে তেওঁলোকে অকল নিজৰ কথাই চিন্তা কৰে যিবোৰে যদি আমি এনেকৈ মানুহবোৰ সৃষ্টি হৈ গৈ পিছত মানুহবোৰৰ মাজত অসমানতাৰ সৃষ্টি হ'বই লগতে কি হ'ব যে নিজক লৈ ব্যস্ত থাকিব নিজৰ ব্যক্তিগত গুণাগুণৰ ওপৰত মনোনিৱেশ কৰিব আৰু দ্বিতীয়তে এইটো কাম কৰিব যে ই সফল আৰু অসফলৰ মাজত ব্যৱধান সৃষ্টি কৰিব যে সমতাৰ কথা আছিলে সকলো সমান হোৱাৰ কিন্তু ই কি কৰিবগৈ কিছুমান সফল হ'ব কাৰণ যাৰ প্ৰাকৃতিক প্ৰতিভা আছে কঠোৰ পৰিশ্ৰম যদি কৰিব পাৰে তেওঁলোক সফল হ'ব আৰু সেই হিচাপে সমান হিচাপে অসফল মানুহো বহুত ওলাব আৰু তাৰ কাৰণে কি হয় এইটো সমতা হোৱাৰ সলনি এইটো বৈষম্যৰ সৃষ্টি হয় আৰু সেইকাৰণে বহুতেই ক্ৰিটিসাইজ কৰিছিলে যে সুযোগৰ সমতাই আচলতে সমতা আনিব নোৱাৰে তৃতীয়তে হৈছে ফলাফলৰ সমতা তো ফলাফলৰ সমতাত ইয়াত বিশেষকৈ যিজন মানুহে কৈছিলে তেওঁ আছিলে কাৰ্ল মাৰ্কছে কৈছিলে যে যিবোৰ বুৰ্জোৱা অৰ্থনীতি আছে আমাৰ যিবোৰ অৰ্থনৈতিক আছে বা যিবোৰ আমাৰ এতিয়া চলিত অৰ্থনীতি আছে সেই চলিত অৰ্থনীতিত বুৰ্জোৱা যিটো অৰ্থনীতি আছে তাৰ যদি চাও তেনেহলে সমতা আচলতে কিছুমান আংশিক হয় যিবোৰ বুৰ্জোৱা মানে যিবোৰ বুৰ্জোৱা আৰু প্ৰলেটাৰিয়েট যিটো দুটা ক্লাছ আছে এটা ধনী ক্লাছ মাৰ্কছৰ মতে এটা ধনী ক্লাছ এটা দুখীয়া ক্লাছ এই ধনী ক্লাছৰ মতে যদি আমি অৰ্থনীতি চলাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত কি হয় যে যিবোৰ পাব লাগিছিলে সমতা বা যিবোৰ অধিকাৰ পাব লাগিছিলে সেইবোৰ অকল ধনী বিলাকে পায় দুখীয়া বিলাক বা পিছপৰা বিলাকে নাপায় তেওঁ প্ৰাইভেট প্ৰপাৰ্টিৰ কথা কৈছিলে প্ৰাইভেট প্ৰপাৰ্টি যিবোৰ প্ৰাইভেট ইণ্ডাষ্ট্ৰী আছে তেওঁলোকৰ বেছি আগবাঢ়ি গৈ আছে আৰু দুখীয়া আৰু ধনীৰ মাজত গেপটো বাঢ়ি গৈ আছে সেইকাৰণে তেওঁ কি কৈছিলে যে তেওঁ এই অৰ্থনীতিটো থাকিব নালাগিব প্ৰথম কথা কৈছে এই অৰ্থনীতিৰ কাৰণে একচুয়ালি এইটো সমতা হোৱা নাই আমি সমতা যদি চাও আমি ফলাফলৰ সমতা চাব লাগিব ফলাফল মানে আমি শেষত গৈ কি হৈছোগৈ বা শেষত লাষ্টত সকলো এক হ'ব লাগিব কোৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ কৰো হেতু ইমান হেৰি নকৰে কিন্তু শেষত কি হৈছেগৈ তেওঁ যেতিয়া বুৰ্জোৱা অৰ্থনীতিৰ কথা কৈছে তেওঁ কৈছে যে শেষত যদি আমি চাও তেনেহলে ধনীবোৰ আগবাঢ়ি আছে দুখীয়াবোৰ পিছ পৰি আছে আৰু তাতে সেই ক্লাছ আপাৰ ক্লাছে লোৱাৰ ক্লাছক সদায় এক্সপ্লইট কৰিছে, শোষণ কৰিছে। চ' সেইকাৰণে তেওঁ কৈছিলে যে তেওঁ পৰম সামাজিক সমতাৰ যুক্তি ৰখাইছিলে। তেওঁ সমাজৰ সমানতাৰ কথা কৈছে। তেওঁ বাকী ক্ষেত্ৰৰ কথা কোৱা কৈছে সমাজত সমানতা হ'ব লাগিব, অৰ্থনৈতিক সামাজিক সেইবোৰ সমানতা হ'ব লাগিব। আৰু তেওঁ তেতিয়া কৈছিলে যে কেনেকৈ হ'ব, যেতিয়া আমি ব্যক্তিগত সম্পত্তি বিলোপ কৰিব। ব্যক্তিগত সম্পত্তি মানে প্ৰাইভেট প্ৰপাৰ্টি, যিটো মোৰ সম্পত্তি আছে সেইটো মোৰ হিচাপে নাথাকিব, সেইটো চৰকাৰৰ হাতত থাকিব। চৰকাৰে গোটেই যিবোৰ প্ৰপাৰ্টি আছে চৰকাৰে চাব, তেতিয়াহে সেই যিটো সমতা আছে তেতিয়াহে আচল সমতা আহিব। তেতিয়াহে ফলাফল আমি যদি চাওঁ ফলাফল একে ফলাফল হ'ব। আৰু মাৰ্কছ আৰু তেওঁৰ যিবোৰ ফ'ল' কৰা মানুহ আছে, যিবোৰ মাৰ্কছিষ্ট আছিলে, তেওঁলোকে বিশ্বাস কৰে যে যেতিয়ালৈকে ফলাফলৰ সমতা নিশ্চিত নহয় তেতিয়ালৈকে আন সকলো সমতাৰ গেৰাণ্টি অপৰ্যাপ্ত হ'ব। তেওঁ কৈছে যেতিয়া ফলাফলৰ সমতা যেতিয়ালৈকে নিশ্চিত নহয়, ফলাফল যদি আমি একে নাপাওঁ বা আউটকাম হিচাপে যদি আমি গোটেইখিনি ভালকৈ একে বস্তু নাপাওঁ, তেতিয়ালৈকে এই সমতা যি সমতাই দিয়ক, আমি লাগিলে ফৰ্মেল সমতা দিওঁ বা আমি ইকুৱেলিটি অফ অপৰচুনিটি দিওঁ বা ফৰ্মেল ইকুৱেলিটি দিওঁ বা যিকোনো ইকুৱেলিটি দিলেও, যি সমতা দিলেও এইটোৱে কিন্তু কি হয়, এই তেওঁলোকে গেৰাণ্টি দিলেও আচলতে আমি সমতা নাপাওঁ, কাৰণ ই শেষত গৈ অসমতা হয়। তো সেইকাৰণে কৈছিলে, বাকীবিলাকে কৈছিলে যে সমতা আমি আগতে দিম, পিছৰটো আমি নাজানো। কিন্তু মাৰ্কছে কৈছিলে যে তেওঁ আগৰটো ইমান হেৰি কৰা নাই, আগৰটো কৈছে যে সামাজিক সমতা হ'ব লাগে আৰু শেষত ফলাফল কি হৈছে সেইটোৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰ কৰে যে সমতা হৈছে নে নাই। কিন্তু যিটো কাৰ্ল মাৰ্কছে কৈছিলে, কাৰ্ল মাৰ্কছে তেওঁ নিজৰ এক্সাম্পল আনিছিলে বুৰ্জোৱা ক্লাছ, প্ৰলেটাৰিয়েট ক্লাছ, সেইটোৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি আনিছিলে। কিন্তু তেওঁক বহুতে আকৌ সমালোচনা কৰিছিলে। তো ফলাফলৰ যিটো সমতাৰ সমালোচকসকলে দেখুৱাইছে যে এনেধৰণৰ অনুসৰণে কেৱল স্থবিৰতা, অন্যায় আৰু সকলোতকৈ বেয়া অত্যাচাৰৰ সৃষ্টি কৰিব। এইটো কি হৈছে যে সকলোকে যদি আমি সমান হিচাপে আগবঢ়াই লৈ গৈ থাকো, তেনেহ'লে কি হয়, আমি আচলতে এইটো অন্যায় হয়, স্থবিৰতা হয় বা এইটো বেয়া অত্যাচাৰৰ নিচিনা হয়। কাৰণ কোনোবা যদি বেছিকৈ টেলেণ্টেড হয়, বেছি মেৰিট আছে, আগবঢ়াই যোৱা চান্সটো বেছি থাকিব লাগে। কিছুমান যদি পিছপৰা হয়, তাকো যদি সেই হিচাপে সমান হিচাপে লৈ গৈ থকা হয়, এইটো আচলতে সমতা নহয় বুলি তেওঁৰ যিবোৰ সমালোচক আছে, সেই সমালোচকে সেইটো কথা কৈছিলে। আৰু কৈছিলে যে এইটো আচলতে এইটো সমাজত সমানতা নানে, সমাজত আৰু বেছি প্ৰব্লেম আনিব আৰু মানুহৰ মাজত ভুল বুজাবুজি সৃষ্টি কৰিব। লগতে হায়েকে যুক্তি দিছিলে যে মানুহৰ বহুত বেলেগ হোৱাৰ বিভিন্ন আকাংক্ষা আৰু লক্ষ্য আছে, যে সকলোৰে আকাংক্ষা বেলেগ বেলেগ হ'ব। এতিয়া তেওঁ কৈছে ফলাফলৰ সমতা, ফলাফল মানে চব একে নিচিনা, শেষত যিটো হয় সমান হিচাপে থাকিব লাগিব। কিন্তু সকলো মানুহৰ নিজৰ নিজৰ ইচ্ছা আছে, আকাংক্ষা আছে। কোনোবাই ছিংগাৰ হ'ম বুলি ভাবিছে, কোনোবাই ডেন্সাৰ হ'ম বুলি ভাবিছে, কোনোবাই প্ৰফেচাৰ হ'ম বুলি ভাবিছে, কোনোবাই পলিটিচিয়ান হ'ম বুলি ভাবিছে। আমি যদি সকলোকে ফলাফলটো একে নিচিনা ভাবোঁ, তেনেহ'লে সমাজখনো নচলিব, প্ৰথম কথা। দ্বিতীয়তে হৈছে যিবোৰ আমাৰ ইণ্ডিভিজুৱেল ৰাইট আছে, ব্যক্তিগত যিবোৰ অধিকাৰ আছে, সেই অধিকাৰবোৰকো মাৰি দিয়া হ'ব। তো যিয়ে ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰোঁতে কৈছিলে বা সমালোচনা কৰোঁতে কৈছিলে যে আমি যদি এইটো কথা মানি লওঁ, তেনেহ'লে আমি বাকীবোৰ ৰাইট, পিছত জাষ্টিচ, সেইবোৰৰ কথা আমি পাহৰি যাব লাগিব। আৰু যিবোৰ তেওঁলোকৰ আকাংক্ষা, লক্ষ্য আছে আৰু তেওঁলোকক সমানে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰা যিকোনো প্ৰণালীৰ ফলত প্ৰকৃততে অসমতা হয়। যিবোৰে সমালোচনা কৰিছিলে, তেওঁলোকে কয় যে যদি আমি সেই বিভিন্ন আকাংক্ষা আৰু লক্ষ্যবোৰক যদি আমি ছাপোৰ্ট দিব নোৱাৰোঁ বা আমি সুযোগ দিব নোৱাৰোঁ, তেনেহ'লে কি হয়, এইটো আচলতে প্ৰকৃততে অসমতাহে হয়, সমতা নহয়গৈ। চ' ফলাফলৰ ওপৰত আমি ভিত্তি কৰি যদি সকলো চাওঁ, তেনেহ'লে এইটো সমতা নহয়গৈ। সমতাৰ কিছুমান মৌলিক নীতি, সমতাৰ কিছুমান মৌলিক নীতি আছে, ফাণ্ডামেণ্টেল প্ৰিন্সিপলছ আছে, যে কি ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি সমতা হয়। এতিয়া সমতাবাদীসকলে তেওঁলোকে বিশ্বাস নকৰে যে সকলোৱে একে বা একে হোৱা উচিত। বহুতে আগতে ভাবিছিলে সকলো সমান। কিন্তু এতিয়া সমতাবাদীবিলাকে বিশ্বাস কৰে যে আচলতে কোনো সমান নহয়, জন্মৰ পৰা কোনো সমান নহয় আৰু একে হোৱা উচিতো নহয়। আৰু আমি যদি চাওঁ, আমি যেনেকৈ 1 = 1 1ৰ সমান 1 এনেকৈ যদি আমি মানুহবোৰক সেনেকৈ ভাবি লওঁ অংক হিচাপে ভাবি লওঁ বা গণিত হিচাপে ভাবি লওঁ সেই হিচাপে নচলিব সমাজৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত অকণ বস্তুটো বেলেগ হয় চ' সমতাবাদীসকলে কয় যে সকলো আমি বেলেগ বেলেগ হয় আৰু বেলেগ বেলেগ হোৱাৰ লগে লগেই বস্তুবোৰ কি হয় সমতা দিবৰ কাৰণে আমি একে নিচিনাকৈ ভাবিলে নহ'ব অকণ বেলেগ বেলেগ ধৰণে অলপ বেলেগকৈ ভাবিব লাগিব কেনেকৈ আমি সমতা আনিব পাৰিম আৰু এইটো বহুত এটা কমপ্লেক্স ইছ্যু হয় কেনেকৈ সমতা দিয়া যাব কাৰণ আমি অলৰেডি চালো যে এতিয়া আমি তিনি ধৰণৰ ব্যাখ্যা পালো তাতে আমি কেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ ব্যাখ্যা পাইছো তো ইয়াক যদি আমি ভালকৈ চাওঁ ইয়াক সমাধান কৰাটো ইমান সহজ নহয় যিহেতু সকলো মানুহ বেলেগ বেলেগ ইণ্টাৰেষ্ট আছে বেলেগ টেলেণ্ট আছে কিছুমান সামাজিক বাধা আছে কিছুমান অৰ্থনৈতিক বাধা আছে চ' সকলো সমান নহয় প্ৰতিজন ব্যক্তিৰ তেওঁৰ মৌলিক প্ৰয়োজনীয়তাৰ সন্তুষ্টিৰ অধিকাৰ আছে দ্বিতীয়তে সমতাবাদীসকলে কয় যে সমতা কি হিচাপে দিয়া হ'ব যে সকলোৰে এটা মৌলিক প্ৰয়োজনীয়তাৰ সন্তুষ্টিৰ অধিকাৰ আছে সকলোৱে মোৰ এটা মৌলিক প্ৰয়োজন থাকিব মই সন্তুষ্টি পাব লাগিব মই ছেটিছফেকশ্যন হ'ব লাগিব মই ছেটিছফাই হ'ব লাগিব মোক যদি কয় যে তুমি আজি শিক্ষক হ'ব নালাগে তুমি এতিয়া এজন ডক্টৰ হৈ যোৱা নাই সেইটো মোৰ যিটো এটা সন্তুষ্টিৰ কথা আছে সেইটো অধিকাৰ আছে মোৰ যে মই শিক্ষক হ'ম আৰু তেতিয়াহে সমতা আহিব যেতিয়া সেইবোৰ ৰেছপেক্ট কৰা হ'ব আৰু জীৱন ধাৰণৰ মানদণ্ডৰ ব্যাপক বৈষম্যৰ দ্বাৰা চিহ্নিত এক সমাজ তেওঁলোকৰ বাবে গ্ৰহণযোগ্য নহয় আৰু যদি কৈছে যে যিবোৰ সমাজৰ দ্বাৰা তেওঁলোকক যিটো মানদণ্ড দিয়া হ'ব জীৱন ধাৰণৰ মানদণ্ড ব্যাপক বৈষম্য যিটো বেলেগ যিহেতু সকলো বেলেগ হিচাপে সমাজে তেওঁলোকক ট্ৰিট কৰিব সেইটো কিন্তু গ্ৰহণযোগ্য নহয় আৰু এটা নীতি হৈছে যে সমান সন্মান পাব লাগিব সকলোৱে সন্মান পাব লাগিব এতিয়া ধনীজনে বেছি সন্মান পাব দুখীয়াজনে সন্মান নাপাব চাকৰিয়ালজনে সন্মান পাব চাকৰি নকৰাজনে সন্মান নাপাব সেইটো হ'লেও এটা বৈষম্য হয় ইয়াতে সমতাৰ কথা নাহে চ' এতিয়া এটা কথা হৈছে যে ইয়াৰ আৰু এটা মৌলিক নীতি হৈছে যে সকলোৱে সমান সন্মান পাব লাগিব যাৰ অৰ্থই হৈছে যিকোনো ধৰণৰ অপমান আচৰণ আৰু পৰিস্থিতিৰ বিৰোধিতা কৰা যিকোনো ধৰণৰ অপমান যদি কোনোবাই কৰিছে তাক বিৰোধিতা কৰিব লাগিব আৰু যদি কিবা পৰিস্থিতি হৈছে সেইটোৰ ওপৰত বিৰোধিতা কৰিব লাগিব সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে ট্ৰিট কৰিব লাগিব ধৰক এজন মিনিষ্টাৰ আহিছে এজন ঠেলাৱালা আহিছে বা এজন ডক্টৰ আহিছে এজন লেবাৰাৰ আহিছে সকলোকে আচলতে আমি তেওঁ যিহেতু মানুহ হয় সেইকাৰণে তেওঁক সমান হিচাপে ট্ৰিট কৰিব লাগিব এইটো এটা হৈছে মৌলিক নীতি আৰু আদৰ্শভাৱে আৰু সহকৰ্মী অনুভৱৰ ওপৰত আধাৰিত এখন সমাজ থাকিব লাগিব সকলো যেন আমি সমান হয় সেইটো সেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ সমাজ হ'লেহে আচলতে কি হয় আমি সমতাৰ কথা বা সমতা হৈছে বুলি আমি ক'ব পাৰিম তাৰপিছত হৈছে আৰু এটা মৌলিক নীতি হৈছে যে অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা বোলাৰ লগে লগে অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা থাকিব লাগিব মানে ইকনমিক ইকুৱেলিটি মানে ধৰক এতিয়াৰ দিনত অকণমান কমিছে কিন্তু আগতে যদি চাওঁ একে কামকে যদি কৰা হয় ধৰক মই সৰু এটা এক্সাম্পল দিছোঁ যদি লেবাৰাৰবিলাকে কাম কৰিছে ধৰক এইটো ঘৰ বনাইছে ঘৰ বনাওঁতে মহিলা আৰু পুৰুষে যদি কাম কৰিছে সমান হিচাপে কাম কৰিছে একে কাম কৰিছে আগতে মহিলাগৰাকীক কমকৈ দিয়া হয় মজুৰি পুৰুষগৰাকীক বেছিকৈ দিয়া হৈছিলে আৰু সেইটো এটা অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতাৰ নপৰে দ্বিতীয়তে হৈছে চাকৰিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আমি কওঁ যে আমাক মহিলা নালাগে আমাক পুৰুষ লাগে চ' তাতো এটা অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতাৰ কথা আহে যেতিয়া আমি প্ৰিফাৰেঞ্চ কাৰোবাক দিওঁ সেইকাৰণে সেইটো এটা অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা নহয় এটা বিজনেছ আৰম্ভ কৰোঁতে বা ঘৰৰ কাম কৰোঁতে বা ঘৰত এখন দোকান দিছে কোনে দোকানখন চলাব দোকানখন পুৰুষ এজনে চলাব মহিলাই নচলাব চ' সেইটো এটা অৰ্থনৈতিক অসমতা বুজায় আৰু অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা এটা গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ বস্তু যিটো এটা মৌলিক নীতি হয় সমতাৰ যদি অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা নাথাকে এটা পৰিয়ালত যদি অকল পুৰুষবিলাকেহে অৰ্থনৈতিকভাৱে ষ্ট্ৰং থাকে তেনেহ'লে এখন সমাজ ভালকৈ নচলিব এতিয়া বাৰু বহুত এতিয়া লাহে এইবোৰ উন্নত হৈছে তথাপিও সমাজত দেখা যায় যে অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা এতিয়া ভালকৈ অহা নাই অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা আহিলেহে আচলতে সমতা আহিব আৰু তাৰপিছত যদি চাওঁ তেনেহ'লে আনটা হৈছে ৰাজনৈতিক সমতা বুলি ক'লে পলিটিকেল ইকুৱেলিটি পলিটিকেল ইকুৱেলিটি বুলি কোৱাৰ লগে লগে আমি কি বুজো যে আমি সকলোৱে ভোট দিব পাইছো চ' অকল ভোট দিয়াটোৱে আমাৰ কাৰণে ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা নহয় তো ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা কেৱল ভোট দিয়া বা ৰাজহুৱা কাৰ্যালয়ৰ বাবে থিয় দিয়াৰ অধিকাৰ নহয় ধৰক ইলেকশ্যনত উঠিছো বা লগতে ভোট দিছো সেইটোৱে অকল ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা নুবুজায় ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা যদি আমি বুজাও তেনেহ'লে বুজিব লাগিব যে নাগৰিক হিচাপে মোৰ কি অধিকাৰ আছে অকল ভোট দিয়া বা ইলেকশ্যন কণ্টেষ্ট কৰাই মোৰ বাবে ক্ষমতা হ'ব নোৱাৰে বা ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা হ'ব নোৱাৰে ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা হোৱাৰ লগে লগে মোৰ নাগৰিক হিচাপে চিটিজেন হিচাপে মোৰ কি অধিকাৰ আছে আৰু গণতান্ত্ৰিক অংশগ্ৰহণৰ এক বিস্তৃত নেটৱৰ্ক থাকিব লাগিব গণতন্ত্ৰৰ সকলোতে যেন অংশগ্ৰহণ কৰিব পাৰো তাৰ কাৰণে সুবিধা থাকিব লাগিব তেতিয়াহে আমি ক'ব পাৰো যে এইটো আচলতে এটা ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা অৰ্থনৈতিক ক্ষমতা হ'ল ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা হ'ল অৰ্থনৈতিক ক্ষমতা আৰু ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষমতা নহ'লে আচলতে ক্ষমতা নহয় সমাজত আৰু যদি চাওঁ আৰু ক্ষমতা আছে যিটো ক্ষেত্ৰত আমি সমাজত দেখা যায় জাতিগতৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত বা যিবোৰ ধৰ্মীয়ৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত অসমতা সমাজত দেখা যায় কিছুমান জাতিক আমি প্ৰিফাৰেন্স দিয়া হয় দেশ হিচাপে বেলেগ হয় নিৰ্ভৰ কৰে দেশবোৰ কেনেকুৱা হয় সেই হিচাপে জাতিগত আৰু ধৰ্মীয় অসমতা বহুত থাকে আৰু জাতিগত আৰু ধৰ্মীয় সমতা হৈছে সমতাৰ জটিল ধাৰণাটোৰ আন কিছুমান উপাদান এইটো যিটো সমতাটো অলৰেডি বহুত জটিল হয় কিন্তু লগতে যিটো জাতিগত আৰু ধৰ্মীয় যিটো সমতা আছে সেই সমতা নহ'লেও আচলতে সমতা পোৱাটো কঠিন এখন দেশৰ কাৰণে সমতাৰ বিৰুদ্ধে কিছুমান তৰ্ক কিছুমানে কৈছে যে সমতা আচলতে নাথাকে বহুতে ডিবেট কৰে যে সমতা আছে নে নাই সমতা থাকিব লাগে নে নালাগে সমতা থাকিলে কি হ'ব সেইটো ওপৰত বহুত এতিয়াও তৰ্ক বিতৰ্ক হৈ আছে তাৰে ভিতৰত কিছুমানে সমতাৰ বিৰুদ্ধে তৰ্ক দিছিলে চ' তাৰ ভিতৰত হায়েক ফ্ৰিডমেন আৰু ৰবাৰ্ট নজিক সেই স্থিতিৰ সৈতে সম্পৰ্কিত যি সমতাবাদ স্বাধীনতাৰ প্ৰতি ভাবুকি হিচাপে ধৰি ৰাখে চ' হায়েক ফ্ৰিডমেন আৰু নজিকে কয় যদি আমি সমতা দিব যাওঁ তেনেহ'লে কি হয় স্বাধীনতা লিবাৰ্টি স্বাধীনতা যিটো থাকে সেইটো আচলতে নোহোৱা হৈ যায় যদি আমি সমান হিচাপে সকলোকে চাওঁ এতিয়া ধৰক সকলো মানুহকে যদি আমি সমান হিচাপে চাবলৈ গ'লে কি হয় লিবাৰ্টিটো আমি বা স্বাধীনতা তেওঁলোকৰ নোহোৱা কৰিছো সকলোকে এটা গ্ৰুপ আছে ধৰক 30 জন মানুহ আছে 30 জন মানুহক মই কৈছো সকলোৱে এতিয়া ডক্টৰ হ'ব লাগিব সেইটো সমতা বুলি ধৰিলো সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে চান্স দিছো সমান হিচাপে ট্ৰিট কৰিছো কিন্তু তাৰ লগতে কি আছে তাৰ যিটো সমতা হোৱাৰ লগে লগে স্বাধীনতা নোহোৱা আছে ব্যক্তি স্বাধীনতা নোহোৱা আছে তাৰে ভিতৰত 30 জনৰ ভিতৰত হয়তো কোনোবাই বেলেগ হ'ব খুজিছিলে কোনোবা আৰ্টিষ্ট হ'ব খুজিছিলে কোনোবা চিনেমা হিৰো হ'ব খুজিছিলে যে সেই হিচাপে কি হয় যেটা আমাৰ ব্যক্তি স্বাধীনতা আছে তাক আমি ভাবুকি হিচাপে দিয়া হয় সেইকাৰণে হায়েক ফ্ৰিডমেন আৰু নজিকে এইটো কথা খুব ভালকৈ বুজিছিলে যে আচলতে স্বাধীনতা আৰু সমতা লিবাৰ্টি আৰু ইকুৱেলিটি আচলতে দুটা বস্তু আৰু যদি আমি এইটো ওপৰলৈকে উঠাব খুজো এইটো তললৈকে পৰিব এইটো ওপৰলৈকে উঠাব খুজো এইটো তললৈকে পৰিব মানে দুটা বিপৰীত ধৰণৰ বস্তু হয় যদি আমি সমতা বেছি আনিব খুজো নহ'লে স্বাধীনতা বা লিবাৰ্টি নোহোৱা হ'ব যদি আমি লিবাৰ্টি বেছি আনিব খুজো নহ'লে সমতা নোহোৱা হ'ব তো এইকাৰণে হায়েক ফ্ৰিডমেন আৰু নজিকে এইটো ভালকৈ ব্যাখ্যা কৰিছিলে ৰবাৰ্ট নজিকে কৈছিলে সুযোগৰ সমতা বৃদ্ধি কৰাৰ বাবে কল্যাণমূলক ব্যৱস্থাৰ প্ৰতি তেওঁলোকে প্ৰতিশ্ৰুতিৰ বাবে জন ৰলছ আৰু ডবকিন্সৰ দৰে উদাৰবাদীসকলক বিশেষভাৱে সমালোচনা কৰে সেই হিচাপে নজিকে ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰিছিলে জন ৰলছ আৰু ডবকিনক ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰিছিলে তেওঁলোকে কৈছিলে যে সুযোগৰ সমতা দিওঁ সকলোকে যদি সুযোগ দিওঁ লগতে কি হয় কল্যাণমূলক ব্যৱস্থা কৰা হ'ব কল্যাণমূলক ব্যৱস্থা মানে যাক যেনেকৈ লাগে ৰিজাৰ্ভেশ্যন যি হওক সেইবোৰ দিয়াৰ কথা জন ৰলছে কৈছিলে বা ডবকিন্সে কৈছিলে চ' সেইকাৰণে নজিকে এই যিবোৰ কল্যাণমূলক ব্যৱস্থা আছে সেইবোৰক বাদ দিবলৈ কৈছিলে বা তেওঁলোকে সমালোচনা কৰিছিলে বিশেষকৈ কাৰণ তেওঁলোকে কৈছিলে যে যদি আমি সেনেকৈ দিওঁ বা আমি কল্যাণমূলক ব্যৱস্থাবোৰ আগবঢ়াও তেনেহ'লে কি হয় আকৌ স্বাধীনতাবোৰ নোহোৱা হ'ব নজিকে দাবী কৰে যে অসাম্যবাদী সমাজে প্ৰতিজন ব্যক্তিৰ সক্ৰিয়তা আৰু ব্যক্তিৰ মাজত পাৰ্থক্য স্বীকাৰ কৰি ব্যক্তিৰ প্ৰতি অধিক সন্মান প্ৰদৰ্শন কৰে। আচলতে নজিকে কৈছিলে যে যদি অসমাবাদী সমাজ হয় আৰু ইনইকুৱেলিটি সমাজ এখন থাকে, য'ত ইনইকুৱেল থাকে, সকলো একেজন নহয়, তেনেহ'লে আমি যদি সকলোকে সেই হিচাপে আমি একচেপ্ট কৰোঁ, তেনেহ'লে কি হয়, প্ৰতিজন ব্যক্তিৰ যিটো সক্ৰিয়তা থাকে আৰু ব্যক্তিৰ মাজত যিটো পাৰ্থক্য স্বীকাৰ কৰা হয়, তেনেহ'লে আচলতে সেইটোহে আচলতে আমি সন্মান প্ৰদৰ্শন কৰা হয়। মানুহক যি হিচাপে আছে সেই হিচাপে লৈ যদি আমি আগবাঢ়ি যাওঁ, সেইটোহে একচুৱেলি সন্মান প্ৰদৰ্শন কৰা হয় বুলি ৰবাৰ্ট নজিকে কৈছিলে। আৰু এটা আপত্তি আহে, কোনে সেই আপত্তিটো কৰে, যে যিসকলে বিশ্বাস কৰে যে সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰাৰ যিকোনো প্ৰচেষ্টাৰ ফলত ষ্টেট শক্তিশালী হয় আৰু ইয়াৰ ফলত ব্যক্তিগত স্বাধীনতা দুৰ্বল হয়। হায়েক, ফ্ৰাইডমেন আৰু নজিকে এইটো কথাও কয়, আৰু তেওঁলোকৰ যিবোৰ সহপাঠী আছিলে এই ক্ষেত্ৰত, তেওঁলোকে সমতাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত এইটো কথা কয় যে যদি আমি সমতা বেছিকৈ প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব খোজো, সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব খোজাৰ লগে লগে কি হয়, যে ষ্টেট শক্তিশালী হয়। সমতা কোনে দিব? আমাক ষ্টেটে দিব, ৰাষ্ট্ৰই দিব। ৰাষ্ট্ৰই যিহেতু আমাক সমতা দিব, তাহলে শক্তিশালী কোন হৈ গ'ল? শক্তিশালী ৰাষ্ট্ৰ হৈ গ'ল। শক্তিশালী মানুহৰ হাতত সেই শক্তিশালীটো নাথাকিলে, কাৰণ সমাজে ৰাষ্ট্ৰ সকলোকে কণ্ট্ৰল কৰিব আৰু যিটো সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিবৰ কাৰণে চেষ্টা কৰিব। লগতে কি হয়, লগতে যিটো ব্যক্তিগত স্বাধীনতা আছে সেইটো দুৰ্বল হৈ গৈ থাকিব, কাৰণ সেই স্বাধীনতাখিনি ৰাষ্ট্ৰই কাঢ়ি ল'ব। আৰু এইটোই অকল কাৰ্ল মাৰ্কছকো ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰিছে বা বাকী সকলোকে ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰি এওঁলোকে কৈছিলে যে আমি যদি বেছিকৈ সমতাৰ কথা কওঁ, নহ'লে ৰাষ্ট্ৰহে বেছি ষ্ট্ৰং হ'ব আৰু লগতে মানুহৰ যিটো স্বাধীনতা আছে সেইবোৰ নোহোৱা হৈ থাকিব। যিটো বৈষম্য আছে তাক উদাৰ ন্যায্যতা দিয়া হৈছে। যিটো বৈষম্য চলি আছে তাক ন্যায্যতা দিয়া হৈছে। কেনেকৈ ন্যায্যতা দিয়া হৈছে? যে উদাৰবাদীসকলে জাতি বা শ্ৰেণীক মানুহৰ সৈতে বেলেগ ধৰণে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰাৰ প্ৰাসংগিক চৰ্ত হিচাপে প্ৰত্যাখ্যান কৰে। যিটো উদাৰবাদীসকল এতিয়া বৰ্তমান আছে, জাতি আৰু শ্ৰেণীক মানুহৰ সৈতে বেলেগ ধৰণে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰাৰ প্ৰাসংগিক চৰ্ত হিচাপে প্ৰত্যাখ্যান কৰে। তেওঁলোকে কয় যে আমি জাতি বা শ্ৰেণী হওক আমি বেলেগকৈ সেনেকৈ একো নকওঁ, আমি সকলোকে একে বুলি ধৰো। আধুনিক উদাৰবাদ যেনে জন ৰলছ আৰু ডবকিনে এই বৈষম্যৰ ন্যায়সংগত কৰাৰ চৰ্ত হিচাপে যোগ্যতাক প্ৰত্যাখ্যান কৰিছিলে। কৈছিলে যে যোগ্যতাৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি আমি সমতা হ'ব নালাগিব, ইয়াৰ সমতা অকণ বেলেগ ধৰণে হ'ব লাগিব। কেনেকৈ হ'ব লাগিব? যে ইয়াৰ পৰিৱৰ্তে তেওঁলোকে সকলো ব্যক্তিৰ সমান নৈতিক মূল্যৰ ওপৰত আধাৰিত কৰি বিবেচনাৰ সমতা পোষণ কৰে। তেওঁলোকক পৃথক ব্যক্তিগত প্ৰতিভা আৰু দক্ষতা নিৰ্বিশেষে তেওঁলোকক সকলোকে একে হিচাপে ভাবিব লাগিব। তেওঁলোকৰ দক্ষতা বেলেগ বেলেগ হ'ব পাৰে, কিন্তু তেওঁলোকক সমান হিচাপে দিব লাগিব। আৰু অলৰেডি তেওঁলোকে জন ৰলছে হেৰিৰ কথা কৈছিলে, যিটো সামাজিক বা কল্যাণমূলক আঁচনি সেইবোৰৰ কথা কৈছিলে, কেনেকৈ আগবঢ়াই নিব পাৰি, সেই হিচাপে সমতা দিব পাৰে বুলি তেওঁলোকে কৈছিলে। তাতে পৃথক ব্যক্তিগত যিটো প্ৰতিভা আছে বা যিবোৰ দক্ষতা আছে সেইবোৰৰ ওপৰত তেওঁলোকে ভিত্তি কৰি সমতাৰ কথা নানে। তেওঁলোকে সমতা আনিব যে কল্যাণমূলক আঁচনি হিচাপে। ৰলছৰ বৰ্ণনা কৰা, যিটো ৰলছে বৰ্ণনা কৰিছিলে পাৰ্থক্য নীতিটো তেওঁ কৈছিলে যে প্ৰাকৃতিক সম্পদৰ ফলত যাতে অন্যায় সুবিধা নহয় সেয়ে নিশ্চিত কৰাৰ বাবে সৰ্বশ্ৰেষ্ঠ নীতি। কৈছিলে যে যিটো প্ৰাকৃতিক সম্পদ আছে, যি ৰিচোৰ্চেছ আছে, নেচাৰেল ৰিচোৰ্চেছ আছে, বা যাৰ যি হিচাপে বেকগ্ৰাউণ্ডত যিটো আছে বা কোন পৰিয়ালৰ পৰা হয়, ধনী হয়, দুখীয়া হয়, সেইটোৱে যেন এই সমতাক একো প্ৰভাৱ নেপেলায়, সেইটো নিশ্চিত কৰিব লাগিব। সেইটো সৰ্বশ্ৰেষ্ঠ নীতি হ'ব যিয়ে যে প্ৰাকৃতিক সম্পদৰ কাৰণে বা এই সমতা আনিবৰ কাৰণে যিবোৰ বেকগ্ৰাউণ্ডত আছে, ধৰক কোনোবা ধনী হয়, দুখীয়া হয়, সেইবোৰে যেন ইয়াক একো প্ৰভাৱ নেপেলায়। মেকফাৰ্চনে যিবোৰ ৰলছিয়ানৰ যিটো সমতাৰ কথা কৈছিলে, এই ৰলছৰ সমতাক সমালোচনা কৰিছে যে এই শ্ৰেণীসমূহৰ মাজত প্ৰতিষ্ঠাগত অসমতা অনিবাৰ্য ধাৰণা কৰে। মেকফাৰ্চনে আকৌ ৰলছক ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰিছে, বা ৰলছৰ যিবোৰ ফলোৱাৰ আছে তেওঁক ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰিছিলে, যে কৈছিলে যে যিবোৰ অসমানতা আছে সমাজত সেইটো ৰলছে আচলতে বৃদ্ধি কৰিবৰ কাৰণে চেষ্টা কৰিছে আৰু যিটো অসমানতা ধৰ্ম জাতি বা দুখীয়া ধনীৰ মাজত যিটো আছে সেইটো কি হয় শ্ৰেণীসমূহৰ মাজত যিটো অসমানতা আছে সেইটো অনিবাৰ্য বুলি ৰলছে কৈছিলে মেকফাৰ্চনে কৈছিলে যে আচলতে সেইটো হ'ব নালাগে ৰলছে এই সত্যটো উপেক্ষা কৰে যে শ্ৰেণী আধাৰিত অসমতাই বিভিন্ন শ্ৰেণীৰ ব্যক্তিজনৰ মাজত অসম শক্তিৰ সম্পৰ্ক সৃষ্টি কৰে আৰু এনেধৰণে সমতাৰ অন্যান্য দিশবোৰৰ ওপৰত প্ৰভাৱ পেলাব মেকফাৰ্চনে কৈছিলে যে ৰলছে কি হৈছে এই শ্ৰেণীৰ আধাৰিত যিবোৰ অসমানতা আছে সেইবোৰ যদি আমি চাওঁ নহ'লে এই শক্তি আপাৰ ক্লাছ লোৱাৰ ক্লাছৰ যিটো শক্তি আছে সেই শক্তিৰ ওপৰত কি হয় এটা বেয়া প্ৰভাৱ সৃষ্টি কৰিব আৰু দেখা যায় যে যিবোৰ বেলেগ আৰু সমতাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত যিবোৰ বস্তু আগবঢ়া হয় সেইবোৰৰ ওপৰতো বেয়া প্ৰভাৱ পেলাব তাৰপিছত আমি যদি চাওঁ সমতা আৰু নাৰীবাদ যেটো নাৰীবাদ লাহে লাহে ডেভেলপ হৈছিলে বিশেষকৈ ডেভেলপ হৈছিলে 1960 চনৰ পিছত ফেমিনিজম যেটা ডেভেলপ হৈছিলে এই ফেমিনিজমত কি হয় নাৰীবাদসকলে এটা লিংগৰ সাইডৰ পৰা যে পুলিংগ স্ত্ৰীলিংগ বা মেল ফিমেল হেইটোৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি তেওঁলোকে এই সমতাৰ বস্তুটো চাইছিলে আৰু তেওঁলোকে কৈছিলে যে সমতাৰ কথা যদি আমি চাওঁ যদি আমি সমতাৰ কথা কওঁ তেনেহলেও কিন্তু ইয়াতে এটা অসমানতা আছে কেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ অসমতা আছে যে সদায় সমাজত পুৰুষক আগশাৰীত ধৰা হয় মহিলাক পিছত ধৰা হয় পুৰুষৰ প্ৰতি সকলো অসুবিধা থাকে মহিলাৰ কাৰণে নাথাকে সো সেই এইবোৰ কথা সুজান অকিন্সৰ এখন গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ কিতাপ নাম আছিলে জাষ্টিস জেন্ডাৰ এণ্ড দ্য ফেমিলি যিখন 1980 চনত পাব্লিছ হৈছিলে এইবোৰ কথা আগবঢ়াই ধৰিছে আৰু এই তৰ্ক হিচাপে তেওঁ দাঙি ধৰিছিলে যে এই সমাজত আমি সমতা বুলি ক'ব কাৰণে সমতা নাই এটা অসমতা বেছিকৈ আছে য'ত মহিলা আৰু পুৰুষৰ মাজত এটা বিভেদনা হয় এইটো তৰ্ক কৰা হয় যে সমান সুযোগ আইন বা পুনৰ বিতৰণমূলক ন্যায়ৰ সমতা সৃষ্টি কৰিব নোৱাৰে কিয়নো এইবোৰ লিংগৰ মাজত বৈষম্যৰ দ্বাৰা পৰিচালিত হয় যিবোৰ আমি সমান সুযোগৰ আইন আনিছো বা পুনৰ বিতৰণীকৰণ ৰিডিস্ট্ৰিবিউশনৰ কথা যদি আমি সমতাৰ কথা কওঁ তেনেহলে কি হয় এইবোৰ সব লিংগৰ বৈষম্যৰ দ্বাৰা পৰিচালিত হয় সেই কাৰণে আমি সমতা আচলতে আনিব নোৱাৰো যেতিয়ালৈকে আমি মহিলাৰ কথা বা নাৰীৰ বিষয়ে আমি নাভাবো নাৰীবাদীসকলে আঙুলিয়াই দিছে যে মহিলাৰ গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ বৈষম্যৰ স্থিতি সমাজ নহয় পৰিয়ালৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ কৰিব পাৰি যে পৰিয়ালৰ পৰা মহিলা সদায় বৈষম্যৰ শিকাৰ হৈ আহিছে আৰু সেই হিচাপে যিমান সমতাৰ কথা ক'লেও আমাৰ সমাজখন সমতা বা সমানতা আনিব নোৱাৰি কেনেকৈ ধৰক পাৰিবাৰিক সিদ্ধান্ত লোৱাত তেওঁলোকৰ দুৰ্বল কণ্ঠস্থ আপোনালোকে যদি সকলোৱে চাই যদি পৰিয়ালত যদি কিবা এটা সিদ্ধান্ত লোৱা হৈছে তেনেহলে মহিলাবিলাকৰ যিটো কণ্ঠস্বৰ আছে সেইটো দবাই ৰখা হয় সচৰাচৰ কিবা এটা যদি ডিসিশন লোৱা হয় বা সিদ্ধান্ত লোৱা হয় সেইটো অকল পুৰুষবিলাকে লয় মহিলাবিলাকক গুৰুত্ব দিয়া নহয় তাৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ হৈছে অসমতা তেওঁলোকক শিশু প্ৰতিপালনৰ কৰ্তব্য তেওঁলোকক কি হয় উইমেনছ আৰ ট্ৰিটেড এজ যে তেওঁলোকে চাইল্ড ৰেয়াৰিং আৰু কেয়াৰিং কৰিব ল'ৰা ছোৱালী তেওঁলোকে ৰাখিব সেইটো তেওঁলোকৰ হৈছে প্ৰতিপালনৰ যিটো কৰ্তব্য আছে তেওঁলোকক সেইটোহে কৰ্তব্য বান্ধি দিয়া হৈছে আৰু সেই কৰ্তব্য বান্ধি দিয়াৰ লগে লগে সমতাৰ আমি ন্যায্যতা কৰিছো মানে সমতা আমি দিয়া নাই অসমতা আহিছে আৰু শ্ৰমিক বজাৰৰ পৰা পৰৱৰ্তী প্ৰত্যাহ্বান আমি যেটো শ্ৰমিক বজাৰ আছে লেবাৰ ক্লাছ যেটো আছে যেতিয়া হয় মহিলাবিলাকক সেই লেবাৰ ক্লাছ হিচাপে ধৰা নহয় আগতে এতিয়া বহুত মহিলা এতিয়া চাকৰি কৰে আগৰ দিনত যদি আমি চাওঁ তেন্তে মহিলাবিলাকক চাকৰি কৰিব যাব দিয়া হোৱা নাছিলে এতিয়াও কিছুমান সমাজ আছে যিবোৰ মহিলাক চাকৰি কৰিবৰ কাৰণে ওলাই যাবলৈ অৰ্থনৈতিক ব্যৱস্থাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকক ওলাই যাবলৈ বাধা দিয়া হয় সো সেইটো এটা আমি ক'ব পাৰো যে হেতুৰ দ্বাৰা অসমতা সৃষ্টি হৈছে আৰু যেটো কৈছিলে যেটো সমাজত কয় এটো কয় যে যিবোৰ তেওঁলোকৰ এই দুৰ্বল কণ্ঠস্বৰ হওক বা প্ৰতিপালনৰ কৰ্তব্য হওক বা তেওঁলোকক শ্ৰমিক বজাৰলৈকে যাব দিয়া নহওক এটো আসলে প্ৰাকৃতিক হয় বুলি কৈছিলে আৰু কিন্তু নাৰীবাদীসকলে কৈছে যে এটো আসলে প্ৰাকৃতিক আৰু স্বতঃস্ফূৰ্তভাৱে এটো পছন্দৰ ওপৰত সম্পৰ্ক নাই কোনো এজন মহিলাই অকল শিশু প্ৰতিপালন কৰিবৰ কাৰণে নিবিচাৰে তেওঁলোকৰ নিজৰ এটা এইম আছে তেওঁলোকৰ নিজৰ এটা এস্পিৰেশ্যন আছে চ' তেওঁলোকে আগবাঢ়ি যাব খুজে আৰু তেওঁলোকক যদি আমি সেইটো নিদিওঁ নহ'লে এইটো অসমতাহে বেছি আনিব এইটো সমতা নানে সেইকাৰণে আমি সকলো কথাতে যদি সমতাৰ কথা কওঁ সদায় আমি পুৰুষ সমাজৰ কথা ভাবোঁ মহিলা সমাজৰ কথা আমি পিছ পৰি থাকোঁ বুলি নাৰীবাদীসকলে কয় বিশেষকৈ সমাজত যদি চাওঁ সমাজৰ অনুশীলন আৰু লিংগ বৈষম্য খুব হয় আমি সমাজৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত যদি এক্সাম্পল এটা মিটিং এখন হ'লে আমি সচৰাচৰ মহিলাবিলাকক তাতে স্থান নাই অকল পুৰুষবিলাকে বহিব নাম প্ৰসংগ বা যি হওক যিবোৰ হওক সচৰাচৰ পুৰুষ হয় কাৰণ দেশবোৰ এতিয়া আমি বিশেষকৈ পুৰুষ প্ৰধান দেশ এতিয়ালৈকে সেই ইকুৱেলিটিটো বা সেই সমতাটো এতিয়ালৈকে অহা নাই বুলি নাৰীবাদীসকলে কৈছে যেতিয়ালৈকে মহিলাসকলে নিজে অসমতাৰ বিষয়ে অৱগত নহয় যে জানিব লাগিব যে অসমতা কি হয় যে মই কি কৰিব লাগিব পৰিয়ালত সমাজত তেওঁলোকে কি ভূমিকা আছে তেওঁলোকৰ পৰিয়ালত বা সমাজত তেওঁলোকৰ কি ভূমিকা থাকিব পাৰে বা লিংগ সমতাৰ সন্দৰ্ভত একো দৃঢ় তাৎপৰ্য প্ৰাপ্ত কৰিব নোৱাৰিব যেতিয়ালৈকে মহিলাবোৰ নিজে আগবাঢ়ি নাহে মহিলাবোৰ নিজে নিজৰ অধিকাৰৰ বিষয়ে নাজানে মহিলাই নিজৰ কৰ্তব্যৰ বিষয়ে নাজানে সেইটো বুলি নাৰীবাদীসকলে কয় যে মহিলাবোৰ আগবাঢ়ি আহিব লাগিব তেতিয়াহে আচলতে এখন সমান বা সমতা থকা এখন সমাজ সৃষ্টি হ'ব বুলি তেওঁলোকে দাবী কৰে এতিয়া ইয়াৰ পিছতে আমি যদি চাওঁ সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতা মই অলপ আগতে কৈছো যে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতা ইকুৱেলিটি আৰু লিবাৰ্টি দুটা বেলেগ ধৰণৰ বস্তু ইয়াতে বহুত ধৰণৰ ডিবেট হৈ আছে যদি আমি ইকুৱেলিটিৰ কথা কওঁ নহ'লে আমি লিবাৰ্টিৰ কথা আমি পাহৰি যাব লাগিব যদি আমি বিপৰীত দিশত থকা বস্তু এই হিচাপে ইয়াতে বহুত ধৰণৰ তৰ্ক বিতৰ্ক হৈ আছে এতিয়াও তৰ্ক বিতৰ্ক হৈ আছে এইটো ক্ষেত্ৰত সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত এইটো দাবী কৰা হয় যে স্বাধীনতা আৰু সমতা আচলতে বিৰোধী হয় বেলেগ হয় আৰু সেয়েহে এটা এই বিবাদটো অমীমাংসিত এইটো কেতিয়াও শেষ নোহোৱা বস্তু এতিয়া এইটো মীমাংসা কেতিয়াও নহয় যে স্বাধীনতা অলৰেডি ধৰা হৈছে যে স্বাধীনতা আৰু সমতা বেলেগ বস্তু হয় টকভিলে কি কৈছিলে যে সমতাক স্বাধীনতাৰ বাবে এখন সম্ভাৱ্য বিপদ হিচাপে দেখিছিলে টকভিলে কৈছিলে যে যদি আমি সমতাৰ কথা কওঁ সমতা যদি আমি আগবঢ়াওঁ নহ'লে স্বাধীনতা নোহোৱা হৈ গৈ থাকিব এটা বিপদ হিচাপে ধৰি লৈছিলে যিহেতু তেওঁ গণ অনুৰূপৰ তাৰ সংখ্যাগৰিষ্ঠতা অত্যাচাৰ কৰিছিলে অলৰেডি আমি যদি আমি সমতাৰ কথা কওঁ নহ'লে মানুহৰ স্বাধীনতাৰ বিষয়ে আমি পাহৰি যাব লাগিব ফ্ৰিডমেন নজিক আৰু হায়েকে এই কথা কৈছিলে যে এই যদি আমি লিবাৰ্টি যদি আমি বিচাৰো তেনেহ'লে আমি ইকুৱেলিটি পাহৰিব লাগিব বা সমতা পাহৰিব লাগিব যদি আমি সমতাৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি বা সমান সমাজ এখন বিচাৰো তেনেহ'লে আমি ব্যক্তি স্বাধীনতা বা অন্য স্বাধীনতাৰ কথা আমি পাহৰিব লাগিব আৰু তাৰে ভিতৰত নাম কেইজন হৈছে যিবোৰ আৰু এইবোৰ কথা কৈছে তেওঁলোক হৈছে ফ্ৰিডমেন নজিক আৰু হায়েক সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠাৰ প্ৰচেষ্টাত তৎক্ষণাত বলপূৰ্বক আৰু স্বাধীনতা হেৰুওৱাকে বুজায় সমতা যদি আমি প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰোঁ তেনেহ'লে আমি স্বাধীনতা হেৰাওঁ তেওঁলোকে কি কয় তেওঁলোকে বুজায় যে যিহেতু ব্যক্তিজনৰ দক্ষতা আৰু সামৰ্থ্যৰে ক্ষেত্ৰত পৃথক তেওঁলোকে জীৱনৰ পাৰ্থক্য থাকিব লাগিব আৰু এনেদৰে অসমতাৰ প্ৰতি এক প্ৰাকৃতিক প্ৰৱণতা থাকিব লাগিব তেতিয়াহে আমি স্বাধীনতা থাকিব যেতিয়া আমাৰ দক্ষতা নিজৰ হিচাপে আগবাঢ়িব পাৰিছো সামৰ্থ্যৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত বেলেগ হয় জীৱনৰ পাৰ্থক্য যদি আছে তেনেহ'লেহে এইটো স্বাধীনতা হয় কাৰণ নিজৰ মতে আগবাঢ়ি যাব পাৰি যদি আমি সমান হিচাপে চাব যাওঁ তেনেহ'লে আমি স্বাধীনতাক আমি পিছ পেলাই আছো বা স্বাধীনতাক আমি পেলাই দিছো আমি সমতাটো আগবাঢ়িছো সমতা হেকলৈ আগবাঢ়িছো যিসকলে যুক্তি দিয়ে যে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতা অমীমাংসিত তেওঁলোকে স্বাধীনতাক নেতিবাচক স্বাধীনতা হিচাপে বুজিবলৈ আৰম্ভ কৰে নেতিবাচক স্বাধীনতা মানে নেগেটিভ লিবাৰ্টি মানে মোৰ যি মন যায় তাকে কৰা মোক কোনো কন্ট্ৰোল কৰিব নোৱাৰে সেইটো হৈছে নেতিবাচক স্বাধীনতা আৰু ইতিবাচক স্বাধীনতা মানে য'ত মই কন্ট্ৰোল কৰিব মানে ৰাষ্ট্ৰ থাকিব ৰাষ্ট্ৰ মোক কন্ট্ৰোল কৰিব আৰু সেইকাৰণে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতা অমীমাংসিত বুলি কোৱাবিলাকে কয় যে তেওঁলোকে নেতিবাচকৰ ছাইডৰ পৰাহে চাইছে তেওঁলোকে ইতিবাচক ছাইডৰ পৰা চোৱা নাই সেয়েহে সমতাবাদীসকলে কয় যে সামাজিক শক্তি অৰ্থনৈতিক সম্পদ আৰু শিক্ষাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত সমতা সকলোৰে সমানে সাৰ্থক আৰু সন্তোষজনক জীৱন নিশ্চিত কৰাৰ বাবে অত্যাৱশ্যকীয়। তেওঁলোকে যেতিয়া সমতাবাদীসকলে সেইকাৰণে কয় যে সামাজিক শক্তি হওক বা অৰ্থনৈতিক সম্পদ যিয়েই নহওক শিক্ষাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত সমতা থাকিব লাগে। লিবাৰ্টি সম্পদৰ ব্যাপক বৈষম্যৰ দ্বাৰা গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ বাধাগ্ৰস্ত হৈছে। এইটো আমাৰ সম্পদৰ কাৰণে কি হৈছে, আমাৰ এতিয়া লিবাৰ্টিবোৰো বাধাগ্ৰস্ত হৈছে। যেনে শিক্ষা, আমাৰ শিক্ষাটো আচলতে আগবাঢ়ি আহিব লাগিব, তেতিয়াহে আচলতে শিক্ষাৰ দ্বাৰাহে আচলতে লিবাৰ্টি, ইকুৱেলিটি সেইবোৰ বস্তু আনিব পাৰি। শিক্ষা আমাৰ মন মুকলি কৰি আৰু আমাক বিভিন্ন দক্ষতাৰে শিক্ষিত কৰাটো নিঃসন্দেহে মুক্তিদায়ক কাৰক। শিক্ষাৰ দ্বাৰাহে আমাক সকলোৰে পৰা মুক্তি কৰিব পাৰিব। কেনেকৈ, যে ইকুৱেলিটি আনিবৰ কাৰণেও, কাৰণ ইয়াৰ আগতে আমি নাৰীবাদীৰ কথা আমি যদি চাওঁ তেনেহ'লে কি হয়, ষ্টিল শিক্ষাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত নাৰীবোৰ পিছ পৰি আছে। সেইকাৰণে তেওঁলোকে নাজানে যে তেওঁলোক সমতা কি হয়। এই সমতাৰ বিষয়ে জানিবৰ কাৰণে শিক্ষা লাগিব। আৰু সেই হিচাপে লিবাৰ্টিৰ বিষয়ে জানিবৰ কাৰণে, স্বাধীনতাৰ বিষয়ে জানিবৰ কাৰণে আমাক শিক্ষা লাগিব। শিক্ষাই আমাক মন মুকলি কৰি আৰু লগতে বিভিন্ন দক্ষতা আমাক শিক্ষাই দিয়ে, আৰু সেইটোহে এটা মুক্তিদায়ক কাৰক বুলি তেওঁলোকে কৈছিলে। সমতাবাদীসকলে যুক্তি দিয়ে যে মানুহ কেৱল অকলশৰীয়া হৈ মুক্ত নহয়। সমতাবাদীসকলে এইটো কৈছে যে মানুহ যদি অকলে থাকে তেতিয়াহ'লেও এইটো আচলতে মুক্ত নহয়। যদি মুক্তি লাগে বা ফ্ৰীডম লাগে বা লিবাৰ্টি লাগে, তেনেহ'লে কি হয়, আমি লিবাৰ্টিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো আমি সমান হিচাপে থাকিব লাগিব। যে অসমানতা, মই বহুত ধনী মানুহ, মই অকলেই থাকিম, সেই হিচাপে হোৱাৰ লগে লগে মোৰ লিবাৰ্টি আছে কিন্তু মোৰ এখন সমাজ নাই। সেইকাৰণে সেইটো কেতিয়া আহিব, যেতিয়া তাত সমতাৰ কথা আহিব। যেতিয়া সমতা থাকিব তেতিয়াহে এখন সমাজ হিচাপে থাকিব, নহ'লে অসমতা থাকিব বুলি এতিয়াৰ সমতাবাদীবিলাকে কয়। এতিয়াৰ সমতাবাদীবিলাকে এইটোও কয় যে আচলতে লিবাৰ্টি আৰু ইকুৱেলিটি একে নিচিনা হয়, একেলগে থাকে। লিবাৰ্টি আৰু ইকুৱেলিটি একেলগে থাকিলেহে সমাজখন আগবাঢ়ি যাব। যিবোৰ আগতে কৈছিলে যে লিবাৰ্টি বেলেগ, ইকুৱেলিটি বেলেগ, বা স্বাধীনতা বেলেগ বা সমতা বেলেগ, আচলতে সেইটো নহয়। তেওঁলোকে যুক্তি দিয়ে যে ক্ষমতা, সম্পদ আৰু শিক্ষা হৈছে স্বাধীনতাৰ মৌলিক উৎস, আৰু এনে এক সমাজ যি এক দিশটোৰ সমতা নিশ্চিত কৰিব নোৱাৰে, এখন মুক্ত সমাজ হ'ব নোৱাৰে। কৈছে যে এখন যদি সেনেকুৱা সমাজ থাকে, ক্ষমতাৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি, সম্পদৰ ওপৰত, শিক্ষাৰ ওপৰত, এইটো হৈছে মৌলিক উৎস যাৰ দ্বাৰা এখন সমাজ চলিব। আৰু এনে এখন সমাজ য'ত সমতাই দিব নোৱাৰে, সমাজখনত যদি সমতাই নাথাকে, বহুত যদি গেপ থাকে ধনী দুখীয়া জাতি আৰু ধৰ্মৰ মাজত, বা বহুত ক্ষেত্ৰত যদি সমতা নাথাকে, তেনেহ'লে সেইখন এখন মুক্ত সমাজেই নহয়। মুক্ত সমাজ হ'বৰ কাৰণে কি হয়, স্বাধীনতা আৰু ইকুৱেলিটি একেলগে যাব লাগিব। সেইকাৰণে স্বাধীনতা আৰু সমতা ইজনে সিজনৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰশীল বুলি আমাৰ সমতাবাদীসকলে কয় যে এইটোৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰশীল, তেতিয়াহে এখন সমাজ হিচাপে চলিব পাৰিব। নহ'লে স্বাধীনতা আৰু সমতা যদি একেলগে নচলে, তেনেহ'লে এখন ইমবেলেঞ্চ এখন ছ'চাইটি এখন হ'ব। আৰু সেইটো হ'বৰ কাৰণে কি হয়, স্বাধীনতা আৰু সমতা একেলগে আগবাঢ়িব লাগিব। আমি শেষৰ ফালে যদি আহোঁ, তেনেহ'লে আমি কি আলোচনা কৰিলোঁ এইটো আমি চাব লাগিব। এই গোটটোত আমি সমতাৰ ধাৰণাটোৰ অৰ্থ পৰীক্ষা কৰিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিলোঁ। আমি চেষ্টা কৰিলোঁ যে সমতা কি হয়, সমতাক আমি কেনে ধৰণে বুজিব পাৰোঁ। সমতাক আমি বেলেগ বেলেগ ধৰণে বুজিলোঁ। সমতাৰ অৰ্থ বুজিলোঁ, সমতা কি হয়। সমানতা বুলি ক'লে সকলো সমান হ'ব লাগিব। সকলো সমান হ'লেই কেনেকৈ আমি সমানকৈ ট্ৰিট কৰিম, কেনেকৈ আমি তেওঁলোকক আগবঢ়াই নিম, সেইটো কথাৰ ওপৰতো নিৰ্ভৰ কৰিব। এতিয়া যদি আমি এটা এক্সাম্পল চাওঁ, বিশেষকৈ আজিকালি ফেচবুক, হোৱাটছএপত খুব আহে, তাতে যদি চাওঁ, আমি এটা এক্সাম্পল দিওঁ যে গছ এডালত চাপ'জ আম এটা আছে। সেই আমটো যদি পাৰিবৰ কাৰণে এটা হাতী, ঘৰ, শিয়াল, কুকুৰ, মেকুৰী, বান্দৰ সকলোকে যদি আমি কওঁ যে ইউ আৰ অল ইকুৱেল, তোমালোক সকলো সমান, যিহেতু তোমালোক সকলো সমান, এই ফলটো ছিঙি আনা, কম্পিটিশ্যন হ'ব। সেইটো সমানতা জানো? কিন্তু সেই সমানতাক আনিবৰ কাৰণে আমি কেনেকৈ আমি ব্যৱস্থা ল'ম, সেইটো যিহেতু সমানতা বা সমতা হৈছে এটা বহুত কমপ্লেক্স ইছ্যু। তাক ইমান সহজে বুজি আমি শেষ কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ, বা আমি তাক বুজি এতিয়াও তাৰ ওপৰত বহুত ডিবেট বা বহুত ষ্টাডি হৈ আছে, সমতা আচলতে কি হয়। তো সেই এনেকৈ যদি আমি সকলো সমান, আমটো পাৰি আনিব লাগে বুলি যদি আমি কওঁ, আচলতে সেইটো সমতা নুবুজায়। সমতা কেতিয়া বুজাব যেতিয়া সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে ট্ৰিট কৰাই নহয় সুযোগো দিব লাগিব লগতে আমি যদি চাওঁ তেনেহ'লে আমি তিনিটা ধৰণৰ মাৰ্কছৰ কথা বা আমি ফৰ্মেল ইকুৱেলিটিৰ কথা বা ইকুৱেলিটি অফ অপৰচুনিটিৰ কথা আমি পঢ়িলোঁ সকলোকে আমি ধৰি এটা এনেকুৱা সমাজ বনাব লাগিব আৰু য'ত লিবাৰ্টি আৰু ইকুৱেলিটি একেলগে থাকে সেই হিচাপৰ সমাজ হ'লেহে এখন আচলতে সমতা আচলতে সৃষ্টি হ'ব বুলি কোৱা হয় চ' ইকুৱেলিটিৰ কথা যদি কওঁ ইকুৱেলিটিক আমি এই গোটটোত আমি বিশেষকৈ আলোচনা কৰিলোঁ যে আমি ধাৰণাটো আলোচনা কৰিলোঁ সমতা আচলতে কি হয় সমতা হৈছে সমান সকলোকে সমান অধিকাৰ থকা সকলোকে সমান সন্মান পোৱা মই আগতে কৈ আছো যে সকলো একে সন্মান পাব লাগিব ইৰেছপেক্টিভ অফ যি হওক কাষ্ট হওক ক্লাছ হওক ধনী হওক দুখীয়া হওক যোনে যেনেকৈ নহওক আমি সকলোৱে সমান সন্মান পাব লাগিব সমান অধিকাৰ পাব লাগিব এই অধিকাৰৰ কথা কওঁতে আমি ৰাজনৈতিক অধিকাৰৰ কথা কৈছিলোঁ ৰাজনৈতিক অধিকাৰ অকল ভোট দিয়াৰ নহয় ৰাজনৈতিক অধিকাৰ হৈছে সকলো ডেমক্ৰেটিকেলি পাৰ্টিচিপেট কৰিব পৰাকৈ আৰু লগতে ইকনমিক ইকুৱেলিটিৰ কথা কৈছিলোঁ অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতাৰ কথা কৈছিলোঁ যে অৰ্থনৈতিকভাৱে আমি সকলোৱে সমান ৰাইট থাকিব লাগিব তাতে ৰাইটৰ কথা সোমাব আমি যদি এই থিয়ৰীৰ বস্তুবোৰ চাওঁ সকলো আচলতে জইণ্ট হয় যেনেকৈ ইকুৱেলিটি লিবাৰ্টি জাষ্টিচ ৰাইট সকলো বস্তু মিক্স চ' আমি এই ইকুৱেলিটিৰ কথা কওঁতে আমি অধিকাৰৰ কথা জানিব লাগিব যে আমাৰ ইকনমিক সমতা কেতিয়া আহিব যেতিয়া আমি ৰাইটবোৰ আমি সঠিক হিচাপে পাওঁ আৰু প্ৰথমতে আমি সেই আলোচনা কৰিলোঁ ইয়াৰে প্ৰথমটো আমি যিটো থিয়ৰী আলোচনা কৰিছিলোঁ সেইটো হৈছে আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা কি কয় যে সকলো সমান সকলোকে আমি সমান হিচাপে ভাবোঁ সকলোকে মানৱতাৰ ওপৰত ধাৰণা লৈ আমি সকলোকে সমান বুলি ভাবোঁ আৰু সকলোকে সমান হিচাপে ট্ৰিট কৰোঁ আনুষ্ঠানিক সমতা আৰু তাতে কিছুমান প্ৰব্লেম আছে তাতে অহাৰ লগে লগে কি হয় যিহেতু সকলো সমান নহয় কাৰণ জন্মৰ পৰা সকলো সমান নহয় বিশেষকৈ সমাজত সন্মান নহয় কাৰণ তেওঁলোকৰ অৰ্থনৈতিক ব্যৱস্থা ৰাজনৈতিক ব্যৱস্থা সামাজিক ব্যৱস্থাৰ ভিত্তি কৰি মানুহবোৰ সমান নহয় সেইকাৰণে এইটো বহুতে ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰিছিলে তাৰপিছতে আমি আলোচনা কৰিছিলোঁ সুযোগৰ সমতা সুযোগ দিয়া হ'ব যিটো আমি দেখিছিলোঁ যে অৱশেষত বৈষম্যৰ ন্যায়সংগত কৰিবলৈ ব্যৱহাৰ কৰিব পাৰি চ' সুযোগৰ সমতা মানে কি হয় আমি সকলোকে সুযোগ দিব লাগিব সকলোকে সুযোগ দিব লাগিব যে যিটো যাৰ কোৱালিটি আছে সেই হিচাপে আমি সুযোগ দিব লাগিব আগবাঢ়ি যাবৰ কাৰণে আৰু লাষ্টত ইয়াক আমি চাওঁ তেনেহ'লে কি হয় ই আচলতে বৈষম্যকহে ন্যায়সংগত কৰিবলৈ ব্যৱহাৰ কৰে লাষ্টত গৈ আমি যদি চাওঁ সকলোকে সমান সুযোগ দিওঁ তেনেহ'লে কি হয় দেখা যায় শেষৰ ফলবোৰ আচলতে একে নহয়গৈ আৰু তাৰপিছত আমি যদি চাওঁ ফলাফলৰ সমতাই সমতাৰ শব্দটো প্ৰসাৰিত কৰে চ' ফলাফলৰ সমতা আমাৰ কাৰ্ল মাৰ্ক্সে কৈছিলে যে ফলাফল বা শেষৰ যিটো আউটকাম হ'ব সেইটোৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰিহে আমি সমতা বুলি ক'ব পাৰোঁ কিন্তু কি হয় ইয়াতো বহুতে ক্ৰিটিচাইজ কৰিছিলে যে ফলাফলৰ সমতা যিটোৱে বুজাব বা ফলাফলৰ সমতা যদি হয় তেনেহ'লে যিটো আমাৰ ইণ্ডিভিজুৱেল ৰাইটছ থাকে ইণ্ডিভিজুৱেল যিটো আমাৰ লিবাৰ্টি থাকিব বা আমাৰ ইণ্ডিভিজুৱেল ফ্ৰীডম থাকিব সেইবোৰ নোহোৱা কৰিব ব্যক্তি স্বাধীনতা নোহোৱা কৰিব কাৰণ ইয়াতে ষ্টেটে কণ্ট্ৰল কৰিব কাৰণ প্ৰাইভেট প্ৰপাৰ্টি নাথাকিব ষ্টেটে কণ্ট্ৰল কৰি আমাক সমান হিচাপে আগবঢ়াই নিব আৰু ফল একে হ'বগৈ কিন্তু ফল একে হোৱাৰ লগে লগে ছাপ'জ মোৰ ইণ্টাৰেষ্ট বেলেগ হ'ব পাৰে বেলেগৰ ইণ্টাৰেষ্ট বেলেগ হ'ব পাৰে চ' সেইটো কি হয় আচলতে সমতা নানে ই বেছিকৈ অসমতা আনে সমাজতো আৰু অস্থিৰতা আনে আৰু শেষৰ ফালে আমি চাইছিলোঁ গৈ সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতাৰ মাজত সম্পৰ্কে বিশেষ বিতৰ্ক পৰীক্ষা কৰিলোঁ যে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতাৰ মাজত আমি প্ৰথমতে চালোঁ যে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতা আচলতে বেলেগ বস্তু হয় আৰু যদি সমতা আমি আগবঢ়াওঁ তেনেহ'লে স্বাধীনতা তাত কমি যায় যদি স্বাধীনতা আমি বঢ়াওঁ তেনেহ'লে সমতা কমি যায় আৰু পিছত যদি চাওঁ এতিয়া সমতাবাদবোৰে এইটো কথা কয় যে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতা একেলগে চলিব লাগিব যদি একেলগে নচলে তেনেহ'লে এখন সঠিক সমাজ পোৱাটো বহুত টান চ' সেইকাৰণে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতা একেলগে চলিব লাগিব আৰু লগতে আমি চালোঁ যে ফেমিনিজমৰ নাৰীবাদৰ পৰাও আমি চালোঁ যে কেনেকৈ সমাজখন বৈষম্যৰ সৃষ্টি হৈ আছে সমতা এতিয়ালৈকে অহা নাই আৰু সেই সমতা আনিবৰ কাৰণে নাৰীসকলকো পুৰুষৰ সৈতে একেলগে আগবাঢ়িবৰ কাৰণে দেশৰ ফালৰ পৰা বা ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ ফালৰ পৰা এইখিনি সুবিধা কৰিব লাগিব বা লগতে মহিলাবিলাকেও নিজে বুজিব লাগিব যে তেওঁলোকৰ অধিকাৰবোৰ কি, তেওঁলোকৰ লিবাৰ্টি, তেওঁলোকৰ ৰাইটবোৰ কি আছে, তেওঁলোকে সকলো বুজি আগবাঢ়িব লাগিব। আৰু লগতে শিক্ষাৰ ডাঙৰ অৱদান এটা আছে। যদি শিক্ষা ভালকৈ লয় বা শিক্ষাই আমাক আচলতে সমতা আৰু স্বাধীনতাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আগবঢ়াই নিবৰ কাৰণে চেষ্টা কৰে আৰু ই আমাক আগবঢ়াই লৈ গৈ থাকে। যদি শিক্ষা আমাক ভালকৈ দিয়া হয় তেনেহ'লে আমি এই সমতা আমি স্থাপন কৰিবলৈ আমি সক্ষম হ'ম। আৰু ইয়াকে কৈ আজি মই মোৰ ক্লাছটো সামৰিছোঁ। ধন্যবাদ।